welcome in another Tuesday night as we come up with a new name. We're going to get to it. We're going to get a new name. Not really worried about it. Again, it's the content that counts, Matthew. That's the way I look at it.
Yep.
And yeah, could it be catchy? Whatever. I don't know. I'll get an intro for us as soon as we grab a name for it. It was the big show. I do like that, but it also doesn't really represent what you and I talk about every week. That's a
Right.
sports title from way back in the day for some sports casters that I really enjoy. But nonetheless, here I am, Pop Blender, and of course, every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, I'm joined by the lovely, the talented, the magical, the mysterious Matthew Matson. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Good. Having a good time. Been streaming a lot lately.
Yeah,
Had a Friday, a Saturday, a Monday, and a Tuesday stream.
yeah. You've been a lot. You've been busy, man. I noticed you've been busy, and probably going to be even busier here in a couple weekends.
Yep. Yep.
And
That's
we'll
gonna be a
bring
long
that
one.
up. That's going to be fun, and we're going to bring that up, show some posters and stuff, and get ready for that big long streamathon for charity, and we'll bring that up here in a little while. So just to ease into the stream, my friends, it's always good to see everybody. We'll get into the chat here momentarily. So how was your day today?
It was better than yesterday.
That's always good. That's always good. Yeah. Anything crazy? Any crazy stories, or just work, streaming, and taking photographs of action figures and toys and stuff?
Yep. That's pretty much it. I've been loving messing around with this guy. He's been
Yes.
he's been super cool to mess with for sure. I have so many ideas with him and Zarena and the motorcycles I have, and just him fighting werewolves and monsters, and I'm just having fun with him.
Well, the thing is, I mean, you come up with so many really cool ideas and crossovers with your photographs on Instagram, and obviously, below Matthew's name here on the screen, he's got his Instagram where you can find him. Yeah, you come up with some super cool crossovers, and you have different days that have different themes and stuff like that, and it's just really cool to see, man. And I've told you before, and with some of the people in our chat, I try to scroll through and really try to like a lot of those photos. I'm not the probably best Instagram, or maybe I don't even know what the word for it is. Like it takes me a minute to get to my messages. I'm so bad about that. And but I really do try to go through, and your photographs obviously come up on my feed quite a bit. So you guys definitely check them out. I know most of you already do. But yeah, you have some awesome stuff, man. Like
Thank
really,
you.
really good stuff. Yeah. Yeah,
Appreciate
super
it.
cool. Especially the crossover stuff. I really enjoy that. Recreating comic book covers and panels
Love
and,
it.
and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I mean,
um,
I've done so many comic book covers now. Everybody's like, "Hey, let's do this theme," and somebody does one. I did that one 2 years ago. I did.
yeah. Right. I guess really the trick is, like, creatively, in a way, I would think that you might not run out of ideas, but you
No.
might want to do something, and then you maybe think, "Oh crap, I did that already." Maybe
Yeah.
I did
Well,
that, last year or something
and
like that.
I like going back and revisiting things sometimes too to try and make it better.
Okay.
Doing different versions of it, but I also, like taking those ideas and making something else out of them.
Right.
And I've got some cool ideas. I pulled off my Cobra Commander one that I wanted to do fairly well. I haven't posted on Instagram yet because it doesn't fit the October theme, but I posted it a lot of other places. But I did the chromed mask Cobra Commander playing cards. So he had the cards, and you could see the
Yeah.
reflection of the cards in his hand,
Yes. Yes.
playing around all the CGs. I thought that was fun.
Well, and if any of y'all actually notice, and maybe a lot of you are listening right now, which I know I do with a lot of streams and stuff, nonstop all day long. But the background actually that we have is one of Matthew's photographs. It's a Cobra round table, basically. And so, and I love obviously up top, you've got, Cobra Commander, you've got some Crimson Guardsmen, guarding on the sides. I want to say Major Blood is in this picture, I
Oh
believe.
yeah, yeah. Major Blood,
Yeah.
Destro,
Yeah.
Baroness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
and
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, yeah, and I can't see the other one right offhand, but they're all sitting around having a meeting, and this one should be in the first issue of Skybound's GI Joe #1.
Oh, sweet.
Also, if I mean, I got my points on Skybound for submitting my entry to the competition anyway. Not competition, but for the pictures.
Yeah. And I heard a little bit about that just watching a stream that I know you commented on. You were in there for a little bit. Frostbite's GI Joe Repro and 3-Star Draw were doing a stream tonight a little while ago, and they were talking about that and kind of showing off some of the pictures. I guess right.
The covers. They're showing the
yeah,
covers.
the
For
covers.
#1.
Yeah, the covers and variant and such.
And if you haven't been reading the miniseries, you might be a little lost when that first issue comes out, because there's going to be a lot of things that you're going to be like, huh?
Then I'm definitely gonna have to get into the miniseries.
So it for the most part, I think if you read Cobra Commander and Duke, that's the most of the setup. But there's still going to be some stuff with Destro and Scarlet.
So then we're talking about the comics we've been collecting, right? The limited series. Okay. Oh, well, good. Then I'm all in, because I'm all caught up now. I probably do have a few that are in a box reserved for me for this month. I need to get by there. Maybe tomorrow before work, I go pick up 2 or 3 more of my comics I've got on hold, which I know a lot of you guys are getting as well. Just as far as a little catch up real quick, I will say that I did go see Joker 2 today, Folie à Deux. And so I'm definitely going to give a hands-on review of that. I will be mentioning some spoilers. Now, I don't know how many of you have seen the movie. I don't want you to be spoiled, but there's things about this movie that need to be mentioned. Now, I won't go hardcore, especially if people don't want me to, and I fully understand that. Give you time to go see it. But I have some thoughts. I took notes. I have thoughts, conversations I've had over the last few days with people. And so,
I warned people that if you liked the first one, don't go see this one.
Yeah. And I think the general consensus is kind of that. So, without further ado, let's get into to our chat. What is up, chat? Let's go all the way back to the top, because they've been a little bit busy here.
3-Star, I think you know your cousin well.
Yes. Yes, he does. First and foremost, 3-Star Draw in here. And it's kind of funny, because usually Daredevil Dave, I think,
you beat out Daredevil.
Daredevil may have some things going on tonight. Who knows? You don't know with Daredevil. It's in his name, folks. Okay. Let's not kid ourselves.
He's
right?
a wild and crazy guy.
Oh gosh. Let's not date ourselves, Matthew. Come on now. Frostbite's GI Joe Repro. I thought he was going to be first, and did give us a nice lead in from his show, and I do appreciate that. Obviously not necessary by any means, but much appreciated. And if you guys felt like
I don't mean to rub your vibe the wrong way sometimes when I'm coming in there throwing stuff down in the chat. I'm just having fun messing with people most of the time. So I don't no offense if you didn't partake into what I was commenting on.
Man, listen real quick, and also before I get to the rest of the chat, it's so hard in today's day and age when we communicate through quick messages and sentences, and there's very little context. And if you want to give context, you run out of characters, right? Like all of a sudden you're sitting there and you're typing away, and then it's like, it starts getting grayed out, and you can't finish your thought, and you have to condense it. And it really is, I do it all the time. And I'm like, well, I don't want to come across as this, and I don't want to come across as this. And I'm trying to make a joke, but the joke doesn't land. And you end up backing up and retyping and all that stuff. And I think a lot of times things get misconstrued, but it's shows like this and others, that people can actually see you and see who you are, and they know you're not an asshole or whatever, right? You know what I mean? They can tell. I was thinking, how far
Well,
are
everybody's some kind
anyone
of
here?
asshole to somebody.
Well, that's true, and I won't deny it. Got the munchies. I'm on. Oh, Kaylor here. Well, I do know who that is. That's a friend of mine that I have known, and the last time I saw him was 1998, and I saw him a few days ago. And he is
Wow.
a guy that's an amazing singer, someone that I have known a long time but reconnected with, and he has a wonderful, wonderful podcast, and they have a huge, huge, huge following, and I'm going to mention that here in a moment as we get through the chat. But I definitely want to mention him. Dreadnought K6 is in the house. Charlock, the
What's
extra
up?
large experience. Now that was my nickname, Charlock, in community college, and I didn't even go to community college. So if that tells you anything, I don't know if we can name the show that, but maybe we'll see. Todd C is also here, stopping in. Let me see everybody, the niceties with everybody. Gun Bunny Customs is here too, and wait a minute, I know this guy too. Now he says, "Am I in?" Yes, you are in. Although that wouldn't be the first time you've asked that question. Oh no, I'm kidding. I kid because I care. Okay, I kid because I care. No, I love that guy. He is fantastic. His screen name, I think, was supposed to be Burner Phone 615, but evidently that didn't work out. So I'm gonna have to show him how to do some YouTubing. But anyway, Eric Thurman is also
What's
in
up?
the house. So yeah, man, definitely good to see y'all. And as we get moving, we'll add some, lose some. Some people be streaming in, streaming out, checking out other streams. I know the other moderator, Action Figs for Punk's channel, is also does a stream on Tuesday nights as well. So there you
Tuesday
go.
nights is getting kind of crowded. There's a lot of
It
people going on.
it is a little bit crowded, man. You know, I thought I'd pick Tuesday because it didn't seem that crowded at first,
Right.
and then all of a sudden it started to get more and more and more so, right? And so yeah, man. But hey, what are you gonna do? You can't pick a great. There's not a great night,
No. Yeah.
right?
There's always something going on. So yeah.
Yeah, and if you try to do a weekend, then you know a lot of people are out and about and doing stuff. Although at our age, Matthew, we're probably actually at home. It's just how it goes, and so yeah, man. But anyway, glad you guys are here. Glad everybody's jumping in. Real quick, got the munchies. Uh, you guys, if you're parts counter gurus, pretty big, pretty big podcast. I've been doing it for quite some time, and
Pretty big show. Pretty
pretty
big
big
show.
show. Yeah, the big show. Oh wait, no, I can't use that. Horrible, horrible. All right, so let's get into it real quick. Let's get a few things out of the way. I know there's something that you want to bring up that you brought to our attention a couple weeks ago, and so I want to keep that going, and I want to mention that. So we're gonna jump right into this Dracula graphic novel.
Oh yeah.
And you've got a little bit to share. So I'm going to let you take the floor, Matthew, and roll with it from here. And I'm going to take a listen.
Yeah. So this is again, I showed off the kind of the first version, or volume 1 of this. But this is Dracula volume 2, and it's written by Matt Wagner, and Kelly Jones is doing the art. And you can get volume 1, you can get all these different covers, but it was reviewed by one of the foremost Vlad Tepes historians, and they loved it. They thought it was really well done, and it tells a lot of the history, but obviously fantasy elements of the vampire. But he was considered a vampire. They called him a vampire back in the day. And the artwork is phenomenal. And this one is about the brides. So there are
Nice.
4 graphic novels, and this is the second one. So in this campaign, you can still get volume 1 and volume 2, even some of the limited edition versions. It's just really, the first one was such good storytelling. I can't wait for this one. This has been a passion project. So Matt Wagner created the character of Grendel in the comic books. Um, uh, Kelly Jones was the artist who worked with Chuck Dixon to create the character of Bane in
Yep.
Batman.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Among other things that they've both done extensive careers, and now they've gone kind of independent, made their own publishing company. They've got T-shirts for all this stuff, but it's the first one was so good that I'm super excited about this. And you can get digital versions, you can get different covers, you can get limited edition versions. You can get the 2-packs, volume 1 and 2. And then there's T-shirts and posters and other add-ons that you can get there, hats. But yeah, they've got a bunch of different T-shirts. Today was the first full day that it was open, and it's almost at $100,000. So it's doing well. Its funding goal was $666. The limited editions, they make 666 copies of it. Okay, they're all in on this.
What a great, yes, all in. Like, what a great number. I know for some people that's superstition, right? Like that's but what a great number. I mean, that's fun. I mean, dude, the number just rolled up. It just rolled up as you had it on the screen, Matthew.
Yeah.
Like it just added like another $150 or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the campaign's gonna rock. It's doing well. I doubt it'll do Eric July numbers, but it's gonna do it's gonna do really well. And I think this project's gonna be going on. And they said 4 or 5 years, because it they're more than halfway through the second book already. But the time it takes to finish it, get it published and printed and all that stuff, it takes about a year, because they've already started and done the pre stuff on it.
Right.
And I know people knock Kickstarters lately and all that kind of stuff, but sometimes it's the only way to get certain types of things, right? If you want to make that investment in a company or a person, sometimes they don't have the capital to do it on their own ahead of time, or they don't have the marketing skills to get it out there like something like a Kickstarter does. Kickstarter is a big marketing thing, and it gets it out there on social media and blasts it out there. Matt Wagner and Kelly Jones don't have YouTube channels that they regularly create content on. They go on other people's shows sometimes, but it would be harder for them to get the word out for this independent project. And they're not going to go to a big publisher, because then that publisher is going to own a piece of what they've created.
A large piece. They're going to take a large piece of what they create, and the creator is going to get shoved to the side. That's just how it works.
And that's why Larry Hama and his partners, when they created Bucky O'Hare, they printed it themselves. They wrote it themselves. They never let anybody else do it. They licensed the rights out for the cartoon. They licensed the rights out for the toys. They still own all the rights to that, because they never wanted Marvel to own it, to have a piece of it. And more creators are starting to think that way. And that's the whole reason why the Rippaverse was created with Eric July. Is so
again, let's explain that really quickly. I know not everybody, you and I are plugged in with that.
Yeah.
But not everybody. So Eric July is a musician. He's had a YouTube for 14 years or whatever, YouTube channel. He is a huge comic book lover, big DC guy,
he loves Spider-Man. He loved them all.
Yeah, he loves them all. But my point is that he created his own comic book universe, and he did it. It's not a traditional Kickstarter in the sense he spent his own money for the most part to have the books printed and everything created. He paid the creators, the artists, and everything, helped write, and has become one of the most successful independent comic creators. And his biggest message, and this is so true, his biggest message now in this world today, if you are a creator, if you are out there and you have something that you want to create and that you want to put out to the world, it is easier now, direct to consumer, than ever before.
Yep.
and it just takes the dedication and the time. Now, do all of us are all of us have have the ability to save up a couple $100,000 or whatever it is to go about it the way that maybe he went about it? And I'm shortchanging some of that, but just for time's sake. um no, we don't all have that. But if you are a creator and you have a product and you think people will want it, it is never been easier than before to do that. And Eric July is a 100% proof of that,
Yeah.
and has become extremely successful launching multiple books and
He,
creating a universe.
yeah. I mean, he's got 4 or 5 graphic novels that he's published already,
Yes.
and he's on a timely schedule. And he releases his content when they launch the pre-order campaign. The book's done. It's just waiting for final numbers to send to print on
Right.
how many of each of the covers, the special covers and all that stuff that they're looking for, and then the regular covers they'll reprint in perpetuity, right?
Yep.
So he's got an incredible business model. He's really, really a smart guy who's put it all together, crossed all his I's and dotted all his T's. And some of these other big YouTubers and big comic book names that have been trying to tear him down for the last 3 years have got nothing left. They're
Good
losing
luck.
following. Yeah, well,
Good luck.
those people have been losing following like mad, because some of them are trying to produce their own books, and they've put out one, maybe two, and they keep promising stuff that never gets delivered. And so
Yes.
it's a real shame, because they're talented, but they get so wrapped up in this ego. There's only enough room for so many people in this thing, and if I'm not in control of it, then it's evil, it's wrong, or whatever. And they go out and attack these people, and they can't focus on their own stuff, and it really drives me nuts. Just focus on your own stuff.
Focus on your own stuff. Put your energy into that instead of tearing other people down. One of those people is someone that I actually really enjoyed, Ethan Van Sciver, who did great work on Green Lantern, Flash, and yet he now seems to dedicate his life towards trying to tear down other independent comic
And
creators. It
instead of
boggles my
finishing
mind.
instead of
Instead of
finishing his own
yeah,
books.
100%. So not to spend, and look, we won't get too deep in the scuba gear with some of the comic creators, because we could go on and on about
Yeah.
that. And I know not
But
everybody here is there.
when I say that I enjoy something, or I talk about promoting something, it's because I am familiar with the creators. I'm familiar with their work ethic. I'm familiar with
Right,
the way they produce things.
right.
I don't like promoting stuff that I'm iffy on. I don't like promoting stuff that I'm like, I don't know if it sounds like a good idea. I'm done with that, because so many people have been burned so many times that I want to do my due diligence and say that there's a really good likelihood, it's more often than not, this will be successful, and it will be of quality, that you will enjoy.
Yeah,
And so, yeah, I just want to put that out there, because I don't just want to promote stuff just to promote stuff. It's got to
I'm
have
with you.
something with me.
I'm with you, and the thing of it is that that's usually what you bring, is that you're passionate, and when you're passionate about something, you let people know about it, and I appreciate that, because I like to hear about it, and also too, a lot of times it's stuff that maybe people don't know. They may not have heard about yet, or maybe they heard about, but they haven't really seen it, and so bringing those things to people's attention, because I know that in our chat, the people that watch us, there are people that collect comics, there are people that buy graphic novels, right? There are people that keep up with that side of things. And so anytime you can spread that good message about something you believe in. And the other thing too, folks, is that you guys know this, like I'm not going to steer you wrong. Now, you may disagree with the opinion I have. You may disagree with something Matthew has to say, maybe about a show or a movie, and we may very well get into that here momentarily. But the one thing we aren't going to do is we're not going to bullshit you. I will tell you how I feel about it. He's going to tell you how he feels about it. That's what I appreciate, and there's no holding back. I mean, that's, and so, yeah. And if you feel this way, especially with this Dracula graphic novel, then it may very well be something that people need to check out for sure. Definitely. And I've got it pulled up over here saved. So when I get done with this stream, I can make sure that I revisit it. and go back to it. Real quick, I did want to say hey to Bobby Wold. I know you guys need to treat it like Thunderdome. 2 streamers go in, 1 comes out. Yeah, I don't know. I'd like both of us to come out of there, actually. Yeah, to be honest.
Right. I mean, most of the people that are streaming on Tuesday nights are my friends or people that I enjoy
Yeah,
watching.
yeah,
So
right.
I mean,
And then Clint Jorgensen is here as well, for sure. And yes, we will always promote small Kickstarters, which may turn into large Kickstarters, right?
well, I
And
mean,
every person helps.
I would love to see them not do a Kickstarter, but at the same time, I understand why they're kind of
Yeah,
doing it. If they create enough presence with these first 2 books, I don't think they should do another one. I would still support it if they did. I'm just being honest,
right,
but I would prefer that they didn't because that way they would keep more of the money that would
right.
be coming in, but they may not have the financial acumen to manage that. So
Yeah, very true, and that is something also. And look, as someone who supported some and other people, look, it's always something you have to be on the lookout for.
yeah,
Again, like you said, do your due diligence. Make sure you check all the boxes. Is this somebody you believe in? Have you heard of them? If you haven't, make sure that you look at any other things before you give your hard earned money to someone. And speaking of hard earned money, I gave some to Hollywood today, and I can't wait to tell you about it. Real quick, too, this is something I want to get you guys' opinion in the chat. Let me know what you think. So we just brought this up,
we
and
were talking right before the show started, and I said, "What do you think about that?" And so we pushed it
what
as a
do you
topic
think about this?
every
And
week, baby, every week.
every week, every Tuesday, I am getting a HasLab email about the Dragonfly copter. Um, are you okay with this? My thing was, and kind of my first reaction to Matthew was, hey, look, um, yes, I'm okay with it because I know not everybody checks their emails every day. Not everybody checks their emails every week. However, this may very well be a reaction to some criticism,
Yep.
right, about communication.
Yep.
And this may very well be that reaction to those complaints. And so I am good with the communication. It is the 3rd one that I've gotten, and
Yep.
they are seriously, like, every week saying, "Hey, get ready. Make sure your email or make sure your shipping address and all that." I'm
Locking it
okay with
down
it.
by October 24th. So if you don't have it locked down by the Toys for Tot stream, you're out of luck.
You damn well better. You better. I just thought it was funny. I don't really want to spend any time on
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
I
yeah.
just thought it was funny that this is the 3rd email I've gotten about the Dragonfly copter. And
Yep.
so the one I'm really, don't get me wrong, I am excited. I am excited. It's the next email for the next HasLab that I'm really super excited for. So
Or
but
scared. I mean, whatever.
well, I guess, yeah, yeah. Oh, it's been a delay. Look, after November, who knows what to expect, okay? I don't even wanna get into it. But nonetheless, yeah, Eric Thurm. Yeah, those emails are like Niagara, Eric. I'm with you. And in a roundabout way, keep them coming,
Right.
Hasbro. Wait a minute. All right. Anyway, but yeah, no, I just wanted to bring that up momentarily because we were having a conversation about it. It was kind of funny. And so yeah, I'll keep look again, keep them coming, Hasbro. I
Yep.
don't care. You know, the communication is the utmost importance. So any information we can get about anything, especially when you spend $300 on something,
Yep.
yes, communication is key. Okay, so are you ready, Matthew? Are you ready? Okay, because This is your floor. This is your spotlight. The spotlight is coming out. We've got the lighting guys on the rig at the concert. They're ready. They're putting the white hot on you. I will full disclosure. Full disclosure. Um, I have not been able to catch up on Tulsa King season 2. Okay. So I know there are some in the chat. I know there's one in particular that's very interested in your comments about this show. All right. Sylvester Stallone. It first season, I got to tell you, I really enjoyed it. But I have not been able to keep up with season 2. So I want to get your opinion on Tulsa King. And I want you to kind of give everybody a rundown, give your honest thoughts, and just give them a heads up and tell them why they need to be seeing and watching Tulsa King with Sylvester Stallone. Okay.
I'm gonna run it down from kind of season 1, just a little bit, real brief, just running through kind of what's going on.
Let's
Okay,
do
so
it. Hit it.
So season 1 starts out with this old gangster getting out of prison. He's been in prison for 20 years or something. I forget how long he was in jail for, but he gets out, he goes back to his boss, and he never squealed. He never ratted. He never did anything. He did his time, and he got out, and he was expecting his reward. And his reward was that his boss is feeble and retiring and trying to pass his son up to be the next boss. And his son says, "We've decided you're going to Tulsa." And he's like, "What?" Basically, they're kicking him out of New York, and they're trying to get rid of him. And he said, "Go set up shop in Tulsa, and just go for it," because they want to get rid of him. Because he's a dinosaur. He's a liability. He doesn't know the way things work anymore. He's been out of the loop for more than 20 years because he's been in prison. So then he goes to Tulsa, and he finds a weed shop, and he says, "What? This is legal? You can make money doing this?"
Yeah, right.
And then he starts finding ways to intimidate and grift and make a little money and see how things work. And it builds up. Falls in love with or has relations with a young woman. Turns out that she's an FBI agent. And things happen. I won't spoil it for season 1 if you haven't seen it, but things happen. At the end of season 1, he gets arrested, and charges are being filed for bribing government officials. And so the season 2 starts off with him trying to figure a way. How's he going to get out of jail? What's the next grift? How's he going to make money? How's he going to make bail? And so you're going through this whole story, and we're 3 episodes in, and essentially what happens at this point, without spoiling anything, is he has become the king of Tulsa. And so, his team's together. He's defending off rivals that are coming after him. He's encouraging these relationships. And quite honestly, if you look at the things that he's done, there are a couple things that he did that were illegal. For the most part, he hasn't done anything illegal.
And that's really what I find so funny about it. Yep. Is that you're right. You would think that, okay, this is a show about a gangster who gets back into it, and he starts taking people out, and he starts doing but it's not, right? Like, it's not quite that yet. Maybe we'll see where the story goes, but I don't think that that's the kind of show it is, though.
Well, I'll say in episode 3, he does something illegal.
Okay. Okay. But what I found, especially in season 1, so funny premise wise, was when he gets there, and then he finds something that 30 years ago would have been illegal, would have been like underground. And instead, in his perspective, it's like, what? There. You can sell this stuff legally? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And really, from the perspective of someone who maybe has been in prison, now prison is a bit different than, let's say, being in a jail, because
Right.
I think in prison you have access to a lot more stuff, news, television, whatever. But within the premise of it, though, it is like you're out of touch, right?
Yeah.
You're out of touch. And I can only imagine what it would have been like for people that were in prison when cell phones became,
Right.
the norm, when cable television became, just whatever it is, right? And I'll let you answer that one
The,
from Charlotte.
this is on Paramount Plus. I mean, Paramount Plus has some good stuff on it on occasion. It's got a lot of independent stuff that I actually like watching. So it's worth checking out. If you wait till the season's done and binge both seasons, see what you think. It's got all the Taylor Sheridan shows.
Well, that
Like,
you took the words right out of my mouth. That's exactly what I was about to say. The Taylor Sheridan shows. If you
yeah,
like those, Paramount Plus is exactly where you need to
yeah.
go.
So Yellowstone, 1883,
Hmm.
1923.
Yes.
What is the Jeremy Renner show? But I've only seen a
It,
couple
it
episodes of
escapes
that.
me. It escapes me right now. I can look it up while
But
you're talking. It's no big deal.
yeah, but that was interesting. I just haven't gotten back to it yet. I will say the interactions with Stallone in this show, with everybody he interacts with, he is so charismatic. He is so engaging. He's so cool. You see why he has become the man that he is, and how he is much more than a capo. He's much more than an enforcer. He's a leader. He's a leader of people, and people follow him because they trust him, because they believe in what he's doing. He's got good ideas, and he's loyal. He protects his people, and a
And
lot.
he's no bullshit.
He's no bullshit.
It
No
really,
bullshit.
truthfully, like, and he is what a wonderfully written character.
One of my favorite. There's so many great things that happened in the first season. But one of them is he's got this guy for him, this young black man that's working for him, and he sends him in to the car dealership to kind of scout it out and see what's there and tell him what he's looking for and stuff. And the salesman is blowing him off, trying to get him out of there. And he walks in and he beats the shit out of the dealer, because he's like, what kind of fucking racist are you?
Yeah.
This guy walks in here with a wad of cash and he wants to buy a car, and you're going to say no? You're okay. So you're going to say no to me? And he's like,
Yep.
no.
Of course not. Of course not. Of course I wouldn't say no to you,
Because
right?
you're a white Italian guy wearing a suit. You look like you can buy and afford these cars, and it's like, well, he's calling these guys out on, being racist or stereotypical.
But that's the kind of thing that's super grounded and
Yeah.
makes sense when you're talking about subjects like that.
Right.
Like, that makes sense to people. That does resonate with people, right? And
Yeah.
you frame it in such a way where then you have the guy come back behind, right?
Yeah.
The muscle, who is actually the brains as well, come
Right.
back behind and then kind of tie the bow on that conversation, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
as we've seen in so many shows that inauthentically, try to use situations and they don't seem real.
Yeah.
That one is totally believable and then funny at the same time, as
Yeah.
well as horrifying in a way, right?
Yeah. Well, and Stallone's character does a good job of giving enough rope to people for them to hang themselves, right?
Yes.
He gives them enough leeway.
Yes.
And he's watching everything. He's paying attention to everything. Watching episode 3, there are so many subtle things that happen that if you are picking up on all those little details, how the story's going to go.
Right.
You might be able to predict it because you kind of understand Stallone's philosophy and what he's kind of doing, but there's subtle hints in the acting and the performances and the scripting that really kind of show that off. So I encourage you, if you like that kind of a show, it's not incredibly violent, but it could be at points. It's more story and character driven, about building relationships and how you build alliances to build a community or build a fellowship to make money, to do business, to have a successful life. So it's fascinating to me, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And I was gripped by episode 3 for sure
Look,
on season
man,
2.
dude, look, it is one of the better shows on streaming. The thing is, there's so much content out there, right? And we call it content now, which I
Yeah.
really hate, because the connotation with content means that it's just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks and what
Yep.
people will subject themselves to watch enough.
Yeah.
And I think quality is something that gets lost in that, equation.
Yep.
And so, yeah, when this first came out, and you can see right here on the screen, Rotten Tomatoes, again, take what you want with the critic scores. The score I always generally look at is the audience score, which they call now the popcorn meter or whatever. And the reason why I pay more attention to the audience score is because that's what the normal, regular people who are paying for the services are truly invested in. The
Yeah.
critics can be super flaky at times. They can promote a narrative many times that doesn't jibe with what the normal consumer is into, all right, or the majority of consumers are into. And so your critic scores, really, a lot of times you'll see that you'll have a really high audience score, but a
Hmm.
really low critic score on a show that is more based. Okay. Like, if I can use that word. And then you'll see where you have a really high critic score and a very low audience score on shows that most normal, regular, everyday working Americans watching it really don't care for the
Yeah.
narrative or the content, but the critics are trying
Or
to
they see
convince
right
you.
through the crappy storytelling and acting.
Absolutely, yes. And this show is a pretty consistent between both, which
Yeah.
tells me that somehow they've made a show that on Paramount with Sly Stallone that has resonated with
Hmm.
both, and that
Yep.
is a good thing. That is a good thing that it's resonated with both. And Andrew, yeah,
I
right,
I'm going to say there's way too much content. That's why you watch us, so we can help guide you through this process. If you have
100,
questions, bring
100%.
them up and we'll talk about it. But
Absolutely.
but yeah, we're going to promote the stuff we love.
Yeah, and look, I mean, if we could we do a rapid fire and just go like good, bad? It's like doing a football schedule where at the
Yeah.
beginning of the season you look at your football team and you go win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, 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 win.
Right.
We're going to be 10-7 this year. In a way, you could kind of look at a lot of these shows and do it like that, right? Like you
Yeah.
really could sometimes, but occasionally you'll get surprised. 3-star draw. Yeah, 3-star draw says I caught up on Tulsa King over the weekend. Watched episode 3 Sunday after Penguin. Ding, 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 ding. It's such a good show. It's not Stallone at his best, but it's him at his most witty and charming. Yeah, look, movies, 20, Demolition Man, some other stuff. I'm with you. But I
I
do
I
think
I,
at
I
his
do think
age and this character, he's doing a great job.
yeah, I think it is some of his best acting. I just I mean I think he's kind of playing himself in a lot of ways, because I know how smart he actually is. You can think what you want about him, but he is a very smart man, and
Yes.
his vocals tend not to express that. They don't convey that very much, because people don't think of him as very intelligent because of his speech patterns.
Yes, but if you've ever watched him break down and when he did the Rocky, he tried to kind of re-edit and stuff like that. That was very interesting
Yeah,
watching his process, and he actually is very extremely intelligent, and he knows what he's talking about. Now, I'm not saying he's the best at it,
yeah.
but very intelligent, knows what he's talking about. And when he re-edited Rocky films and stuff like that, it was very, very good. Frostbite GI Joe Repro says, I feel that we should note he has really hot daughters as well, and we will note that, and I am a-okay with noting that. Actually,
Eric,
um
I liked Rambo better than Last Blood.
right,
The one where
right,
he was over in East Asia.
yes.
I thought that one was kind of the end of Rambo, and some things with Last Blood that were okay, but
Yeah, I'm with you. And Sherlock, I want to forget Copland, to be quite honest with you. I really no, I'm just
oh
messing with
man,
you.
I you know.
Uh
I actually thought that was another good performance of his. I thought
no,
Copland was
I'm
pretty
just
good.
kidding. I didn't maybe it wasn't for me,
Yeah,
but
yeah, I
um
can get that. It's not
listen,
one I need to rewatch. I'll say that.
no, no, no,
And then
no.
didn't it come out at the same time as Arnold Schwarzenegger made almost the same movie?
Yes. Yes. As a matter of fact, well, shoot. I can see if I can try to look it up real quick. But
Well, it's all better than that Kevin Smith, Bruce Willis movie.
I speaking of Bruce, God love him. It's
Yeah,
you know you're getting old when you start seeing your heroes and people that you watched that when you were younger, right? And they were in their 20s, 30s,
yeah.
whatever, and
Think
stars.
about how many of those famous people, actors, died last week. I sent you
God.
that
Yeah.
picture of like almost 20 people in the past
Yeah.
like 2 weeks.
Yeah, you sure did. It is, and maybe that's something that maybe that's an episode you and I maybe need to do coming up soon is just kind of going back, remembering, looking at some people that in our say lifetime, which would be a lot of our viewers' lifetimes, that were very important and very monumental and movie stars, right? Like
Yeah,
actual movie and television stars, and kind of those biggest people that maybe we've lost over the last few years. That would be a good one to actually do, and just to get people's opinions on what they thought about some of these folks and their movies.
they,
Some
there
maybe,
there's two that stick out in my mind that were not the best actors, but they burned bright for the short time that they were here. There's actually quite a few of
oh,
those.
yeah, man. And speaking of which, Dick Van Dyke will outlast them all. No, Keith
Keith
Richards
Richards.
will outlast. Keith Richards, Clint, will outlast them all, my friend. That is just
I
a
mean, that
fact.
man is just pickled. So who knows if he's ever gonna die?
Yeah, man. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them, and if people start kind of throwing them in there, I'm definitely with it. But that's something maybe looking forward we could talk about. Maybe do that. That would be pretty good to maybe talk about moving forward. But yeah, this show. I mean, even just me having not been caught up in the last three episodes. It
Three
really
star. I'm talking about Rowdy Piper and Andre the Giant. Those are the first two that came to my mind, and then Brandon Lee, and then we can go on from there. Paul
yeah.
Walker could be added to that list, I'm sure. But
We're starting to get a few. We're starting to get a few roll in here. Definitely now. It's I'm sure there's more to come. But we gotta move things along. I guess we should. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's another show, another amazing show that had a episode
episode three.
three.
So
Episode
did
three.
you watch the fade in for this episode
Um,
from the titles to the scene?
you know what? Damn it, I didn't. And even after we talked about it last week, man, why in the world I did not focus on the fade in for the Penguin? I'm telling you, folks, if you have Max, which I hate the name,
Yeah.
if you have HBO Max
Yep.
or a way to watch Max, you need to start this show
Yep.
hands down. I don't care what you read, man, you need to watch this show.
Yep.
It
It
is
really is
amazing.
the best acting, the best makeup, the best uh, character stuff that's on TV
Good
currently,
Lord.
for sure. I mean, you cannot. I don't think you can beat the acting chops that are being displayed by every single character in this show.
We're going to
Uh,
take a minute with this one. Let's
yeah.
let's take a minute with this
So
one. We've
so
talked about it real quick. Let me set this up,
yeah.
okay? All right. So, we've talked about it over the last couple weeks, right? Like we've brought it up. We said, "Hey guys, I really think you need to check this out. I've showed the Rotten Tomatoes, whatever, whatever. Um, after the last episode, they did, and I heard this on the real BBC today. Um, they did the blowing up of the walls for Arkham, the water rushing in,
Yep.
and showing it.
Yep.
They did that better. They showed us a way that it really affected things. And just from a single character's perspective, I thought they did it better. Um, you
Well,
you really, really, really need to watch this show. I think everybody that tunes into this is really going to enjoy it. But go ahead. I'll let you get on it.
It reminded me of the Zack Snyder movie. So you've got the battle with Superman and Man of Steel, and then you go to the BVS opening, which is
Yes.
Batman's perspective from the ground.
Yes.
This was very similar to that because it was the on ground perspective of something major that's happening all around you. And I thought that was a really interesting take. But I wanted to go back to the fade in.
Absolutely. Okay.
So the fade in was the exact opposite of episode 2. So it was Vince facing the other direction, but it faded in, so the nose was on the other side.
Oh my God!
It's got a very different nose, right?
Yes.
But it was all on Vince's face as he's looking out the window.
Oh, right? Victor, right? You're talking about Victor. Yeah, the young man. Okay, Victor.
Yeah,
sorry. I want to make sure I knew who exactly you're talking about. I just want to make sure. Okay.
Sorry, Victor.
Oh God, you know what? Yes, of course.
And so this is Victor's episode.
Yes, it is. This is the young man's episode that Penguin has roped in to being his driver, his lackey, his henchman, whatever you want to call it. He has brought this kid in, and again, as I mentioned last week, it's through the kid's own fault now. Yep. Look, maybe he doesn't want to be in this situation, but the fact is, he was with some hoodlums who were trying to rip the wheels off or trying to break into Penguin's car, and he's up to no good. And guess what? He's the kid that gets caught, right? He's the one that gets left behind, and he gets brought in to this underworld
because Penguin felt sorry for him. I don't want to say felt sorry for him.
No,
felt empathy for him because he was gonna whack the kid or beat the crap out of the kid and get him on his way. But then he's like, oh, he's got a speech impediment, so he's got this social thing that I've got. And what I love about their relationship is that in this episode, you see the benefits of it. You see the repercussions of it, right? Because he's given this kid so much and so many ideas and so many opportunities and everything. This is a business proposition at this point, right? This is a financial, not just a financial obligation, but a loyalty that you have for somebody who's done so much for you. And it's exactly what's happening. I mean, this parallels Tulsa King in so many ways. I think the Penguin is doing it better, but I still love Tulsa King.
Look, yes. And to answer this really quickly from Eric Thurman, does this Penguin show have legs to be a movie? I don't think. No, I don't. And I also don't think that the character development that's being done in this show could be done in the format of a movie.
Correct.
I think it requires 8 episodes. I think it requires different focal points of each episode.
Yes.
And I think that if you try to condense this down into a 2.5 hour movie, or in Hollywood these days, 3.5, whatever, is that it would not be done as well. And I think things would get lost because you'd be trying to bring so many different things. Whereas you can take a whole episode, such as this episode, and you could focus on the kid, and you could focus on his background, where he came from. Because right now we don't know a whole lot about him. The only thing we know about him is that he said that he lost his everything in the flooding of Gotham that happened in the Matt Reeves Batman movie. I assume most of you have seen the Matt Reeves Batman movie with Rob Pattinson or whatever, Rob Pattenbat or whatever. So
his name is Robert Paulson. Oh, sorry,
Robert.
Movie.
Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. So yes, I think that it would be a disservice to the characters at this point now
Yeah.
that have already in 3 episodes been given so
Hmm.
much characterization and
Every one of them.
every
Yeah.
single one. And look, even the ancillary characters, some of the mob characters that are in this show, we're probably not gonna look. We're not gonna get to see Carmine Falcone's
Now,
brother
well,
or cousin
th-
rather,
think
take
about
over.
this.
We're not gonna see his backstory and all that stuff. We don't need to. We don't need
Penguins
to see that.
Penguin's horror girl friend, whatever you want to call it,
Yes, yeah, yeah,
has
yeah.
only had a couple of scenes, but she stands out in every one of them.
They are, you can tell they're important. You
They are
can
important
tell they are
moments.
important. Yes, 100%.
And
Those scenes. Yes.
I wanted to go back to that last comment.
Right.
What do you
By
say?
Sherlock here, they explain why they
Uh,
changed his name.
no.
Oh, I'm
The one
sorry.
the one you were just talking about.
Eric Thurman right here with the
Okay, so I don't think that Batman is made for movies. Batman is a serialized
ooh, man,
detective
that's
story.
tough.
It's a serialized detective story. His pantheon is so deep, you can't just jump into it. Most of the good comic books, Spider-Man and Batman in particular, have such a rogues gallery and such emotional character development that has happened in the comic books that to properly portray that, you cannot do it in a movie. You can't do it justice
I
in a movie.
agree. I agree with that. However, I do think there is a popcorn element to those characters. Like, I can't imagine the 89 Batman being a mini series on CBS in that
Well,
time period. Do you understand what I'm
well,
saying? Like,
yeah,
I think it would have
not
made a
with Tim
better
Burton.
movie
Well,
than what would have been a series at that time. Now, what they can do now, maybe that's
I
different.
don't
Does that
know.
make sense?
I don't know. I think they could have really. They had good enough writers at that time that they could have really dove into the ephemeral elements of the storytelling, the detective noir
Right.
storytelling, and really brought out these characters so they weren't so cartoony, right? So they weren't 1966 Batman, but I feel like every time you go to the movies, it's some kind of play on the 66 Batman. Even when with Nolan, you get the realistic Batman, and his movies were better than some because, they were 3.5 hours, right?
Right.
Because you can develop the character storylines in that time frame. I don't think that they did Ra's al Ghul justice. I don't think that they did Two-Face justice, and I don't know if they really did Joker justice either. They certainly didn't do
Yeah.
Bane justice.
No, 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 no. No, I agree with you there. I guess it just really depends on what kind of story you want to tell. How about that?
Yeah.
Like, the kind of story that you want to tell.
So, like,
Oh, real quick too. I
yeah.
just
Go
want
ahead.
to say hey to Viper Scout,
What's up, brother?
stopping by. What's going on? And here in a minute, we'll hit up a few of these chat comments, momentarily. But go
Yeah.
ahead, man.
Now, I love Mask of the Phantasm, but
I do too.
Mask of the Phantasm doesn't work without BTAS, right?
No,
And I don't think Batman '89 works without the comic books that we've had.
man.
I don't think it's enough of a standalone thing.
Matthew, do you think that the Frank Millerification, if I could use such a word, leading into '89 was part of the reason we were able to somewhat get that darker story? I know it wasn't the darkest story in the second one with Penguin, and it got a little goofy, although I do love that the next one.
Batman Returns is very dark.
It is, but I think some people would also maybe consider it a little out there. Whereas the first one, I don't think maybe would be considered. It was a very clear and concise vision and very tight.
Joker shot down the Batwing with a pistol.
Oh yes, I
mean,
know.
come
But again, I'm talking about like I don't know. I'd have to go through and say
I love
maybe
I love
some
Batman
of the
Returns.
scenes from Batman Returns. Some of the scenes and the
it was a little crazy. They got a little bit nuts with the Max Shrek character and all that stuff. But
yes.
I love Batman Returns.
I do too. No, I do. I 100% do. But that's what I'm saying. Like, that the Frank Miller Dark Knight, I think, was able to give birth to that 89 darker, the Gotham
Yeah.
that is used as a character really in the movie. Gotham is a character, which I always appreciate because it
Yes.
should be its own character, no matter what Batman story that you're telling. Now, I don't want
I
I
still
don't want
want to say that some of the Neil Adams stuff in the 70s did some
okay.
of that as well too.
Okay.
You know, they started making that shift earlier than Dark Knight. Dark Knight was just the most cynical take on Batman
A
ever,
hundred, yes, 100%.
and it's incredible story, but it also,
I
you
love
know,
it.
shifted everything. It's like what Watchmen did also,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah, yeah.
the Dark Knight Returns and uh, the Watchmen really changed comic books forever.
Yes, they did. Now, some would argue for the worse because of the deconstruction.
Yeah.
I don't
Eh,
know. I don't think you can continue on the same path
right.
without mixing things up a bit, and so I
So
do appreciate the deconstruction.
I will always say that when you go down the deconstructive path within an art form, you destroy the art form.
That's
Uh,
true.
and it's never the same after, because you always have this cynical view of it after it's been deconstructed. It
Yeah,
happened with
you can never go back
right.
and look at it in the same way because you'll
Yep.
always have this over here like a little devil on your shoulder.
Yep. It happened with westerns. It's now happened with
Yeah,
superhero movies.
yeah, that's
You
true.
know, I mean, it continues to happen whenever a
Interesting.
genre gets deconstructed or
Mhm.
an art form.
Right.
Since the deconstruction era of art, you change art forever, and it's not necessarily a good thing, because you miss some of the innocence, you miss some of the hopefulness, you miss some of the inspiration. You can
Right.
get pieces of it back, but it's never quite the same.
Right. Well, you know, I and that I do understand, and I feel you on a lot of that. I guess I didn't want to get too far off the path because I know we can definitely we can take a left turn on the motorcycle and end up in Nevada somewhere. So, uh,
Albuquerque,
oh,
Albuquerque.
hey, Albuquerque. Hey, man, there's a couple shows that I'd like to end up in Albuquerque just to watch from the outside looking in. Um, so real quick, let me go through a few of these chats real quick. Clint was basically saying, "I love this show." Clint Jorgensen, love this show. Can't believe DC Warner is getting it right. I will tell you, I do appreciate the fact that they are no holds barred with this show. Language, um, violence. They are saying, "Hey, look, you know, this is an HBO show, and if one thing HBO knows how to do, it is the hour long, roughly hour long, uh, 8 to 12 episode season of good television. They know how to do it. They've got it down pat. They do it better than anybody else." And right now, they're hitting it out of the park. They really do. Now, 3-star draw says, I do have a minor complaint with Penguin. It's a minor one, I think. I would love to actually have you put that in the chat. I hope you didn't forget about that. I didn't want to forget about that.
Yeah, he didn't mention what it was yet.
Right. So I'd like to hear that. And then let's see here. Clint also says today the great stories are being told through TV shows and not movies since The Wire and Sopranos, and it's been that way for a little while. I think we saw,
So I will say that probably started in the 90s with a little television show called Deep Space Nine and Babylon 5. They were the
there you
first
go.
syndicated television shows that told a sequential story that built over time and told this long narrative. And JMS was one of the first to say, I've got all 5 years written out. This is how it's going to happen. And I've got outs for every character. And he had it all mapped out and planned out.
Yeah.
He was a freaking genius in what he did. And nobody's been able to quite recreate that. But since then, there have been a lot of that narrative storytelling moving forward. And I do agree that television is the medium to tell those long form
It
stories.
is, but you have to be able to do it right, and we've seen a
Yeah.
lot of it done wrong by companies
Yes.
that don't know how to do it,
Yep.
i.e. Disney. Charlotte
i.e.
says
Amazon.
Amazon as well. Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah.
Big disaster, $1 billion disaster. Charlotte
Yeah.
says that's why the movies fail when they try to cram a bunch of the rogues gallery into them.
Yes.
That's kind of what I was kind of somewhat mentioning, is that it's just very difficult to try to do a proper storyline. And that's why for a movie, you really have to walk that fine line
Yeah.
of what story do you want to tell, and you really can't do like an overarching storyline with B plot, C plot, D plot. You can, but they have to be very truncated, and
Right.
and you have to have someone who is a very good writer. And right now Hollywood is starving for good writers, and it
Because
seems
they
like most
fired
of
all
them
the
are
good
doing
ones.
television. Well, that's true too. Let's see here, real quick. Hang on, help me pronounce this one. You see this one much more than I do. uh
Graph.
Graph. Okay, I want to make sure I got it right.
We should call him the
uh
grifter graph.
Grifter Graph. I don't know how the Penguin Show is so good, and yet it isn't a comedy like the Batman was. Yeah, I think ultimately, man, like it's the writing. It's just they have got together some
Hold on,
writers.
hold on, hold on,
Okay,
hold on. Did you catch that?
hang on. This comment.
His comment. Did
I
you
don't
catch it?
get how the Penguin Show is so good, and yet isn't a comedy like the. Oh wow.
Okay. Yeah,
I
okay.
didn't. I didn't catch it. Okay.
So I'm with you 100%. I was looked at very strangely in the theater when I saw the Batman because I busted out laughing so hard a couple of times because it was so dumb. The squirrel suit scene. I couldn't stand it.
Okay.
I
Yes.
busted out laughing when he
Yeah.
hit the building and the bus and he's flopping all over the place. He's fucking dead.
Okay. Now, now I get it, and now I appreciate that comment. Yeah, that look, I liked some of it. I liked the first third of the movie, basically the
Yeah,
first act, and then after that, then the
I
last
love
act.
how it started. It started noir. It
Oh
started
my god.
like
Yeah.
just exactly what we're looking for in a
Yeah.
Batman movie. But
Yeah.
then, I mean, you get emo Batman, and he's got the stupid squirrel suit scene, and then you've got the ending with the Riddler, which was all about Hollywood bashing
And
internet
then
trolls and
and
incels.
then at the end, of course, they have to shoehorn in the Joker, right? Of course they had to. At the
I mean,
very end, last
they've always
minute,
got to throw the Joker card at the end of any
which
Batman movie that doesn't have the Joker in it.
we're gonna get to that, folks. So just hold on to your wigs here in a few minutes, okay?
Yeah.
Sharlock says Mask of the Phantasm owes its success to the animated series. Of course,
Yeah.
I do love Mask of the Phantasm. As
Kevin Conroy was the best Batman ever because he could
oh,
do
come on,
Bruce Wayne and Batman as two different characters
man.
being the same person. And it's just a brilliant performance. And
And
most of
that
them were brilliant.
and that's somebody we need to bring up on our list when we do our list.
Absolutely.
That's
I've
somebody we
met
need
him a
to,
couple of times. He was
man,
such a great
oh
person
man, oh
to
man.
meet in person.
I bet. Viper Scout, Mask of the Phantasm, still my favorite Batman movie. I understand that. Also, Charlotte says, I love year one. And again, Viper Scout with Under the Red Hood. I love those.
Yeah.
I will tell you guys 100%. I love animation.
Yeah.
I love animation.
So
I love anime, but I love the DC and Warner animation. I love most all of the ones they've done. There are a couple that I'm not that crazy about, but man,
I
I
agree.
can watch those animated movies
They're so
back to back to back to back to back. Love them.
Andrea Romano is amazing, and she's done such incredible work with all of that stuff and helping kind of guide and that all together. I did want to shoot.
You got a couple starred
Yeah,
comments
yeah.
here.
We no. What we were just talking about. We were talking about
What, the DC animation?
the DC animation. Crap. What was the comment? What did he say exactly?
Year one, Red Hood.
Red Hood, Death of
Yeah,
the Family. Okay,
yes.
so
Oh yeah.
so Death of the Family is really worth a watch, but only if you buy it on disc. And I say that because it's a choose your own adventure movie. And so you go through points of the movie and you have
okay.
to select
Yeah.
choice A or choice B, and it
Yeah.
will take you down a different path. So you can get 5 different endings for that movie, 5 different stories. based on which path you choose, but it's only on the disc. So if you get the digital version or whatever, it's only the main storyline. And I think it's really phenomenal if you go through all the different possibilities. I thought that was a really neat idea that they did, and it's only on the physical media.
Well, again, I just want to say that I really am a huge fan of the DC stuff. I love Batman. I've mentioned
Yeah.
it before. I have many graphic novels behind me. I have this Gotham 1919 book that I love it. And I really do love the animated stuff they've made, and some of them are much better than some of the films. For Suicide Squad movie, for instance. But yes, listen again. Look, guys, gals, everybody. I know Matthew does. I implore you to watch the Penguin if you can. If you have to sail the high seas, sail the high seas. If you have a friend that has a password, borrow a friend's password. It is one of the best shows on television. This most recent episode focuses on the kid that he has drug in with him, and it's done so well, and it's really believable, but it's also no holds barred. They've really taken the training wheels off of this, and they said, look, we're going to portray a and I say gritty Gotham. I guess my point about that is, or what I want to say about that is, yes, look, that's what we've gotten. And some people are tired of that. They're tired of the realistic and the grittiness of Gotham, and they just want a fun Batman and all that. And
Yeah.
I understand that point, but I think in the world we live in right now, it's going to be real hard for people to, as a society in particular, to go back and be super interested in an Adam West, Burt Ward kind of Batman. I'm
because
sorry.
he's been deconstructed, and and there we
Yes,
go.
no, Matthew, you're right though. That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Because we've gotten that, and however, at the same time, it's been done very well.
Yeah. Yes.
So because of that, it's hard for us to go back to, in my opinion, it's almost the same thing as us going back to the good old days where baseball was America's pastime, and horse racing and boxing and the 50s. And ladies and gentlemen, rounding third for the New York Yankees is Mickey Mantle. It's this shit just don't fly no more.
Right.
And we're cynical. We're cynical people now, right? We that's just how we live.
We are in the postmodern era.
We relate to the dark and dirty and gritty and whatever. And it is what it is, right? I mean, we like car crashes, we like train crashes, we drive really slowly and we look to see what happened. It is what it is. And so I think those are the stories that resonate now. Now, I know there are a couple starred comments, and I want you to get to those.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to, he wanted to talk about it, but it spoil the discussion until we get to spoilers for that episode,
I think it's okay. I mean, if it doesn't spoil the entire episode, I can't imagine.
I will say my biggest gripe with the Penguin at this point, we're only 3 episodes in,
right?
But at this point, is the oppressive presence of Batman has not been felt.
No.
It should be, because these are people in the criminal element.
They are operating with a blank check to do whatever they want, and there's been no mention or worry. No one's worried about him showing up. I get it.
And there should be more discussion. He should be in the background. People are fearing that he's going to show up and how they're going to subvert the Batman. I mean, you don't have to go into detail about it. You just have to kind of mention it from time to time. What about this Batman? Oh, I don't think he exists, or whatever. You can have all these conversations about it peripherally. You never have to show him, because he doesn't have to be a part of it. But it's still a thing, and I don't want it to be cheesy, but at the same time, there's ways that you can do that where you can incorporate the Bat into the story without him being in the story.
Well, let me ask 3-star this real quick. He talks about the comedy, and I want to make sure he's referring to still the same show. Is there comedy in this show? Yes, there is. Do I think that it comes out of left field? Do I think it's misplaced? Not really. I
Yeah, no.
not in my opinion, and if that is what you're referring to, then by all means, I just yes, there are moments that make me chuckle. There are things that make me laugh, but I don't think they're really misplaced that I can really remember even in this most recent episode.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm wrong, and maybe there's something you can remind me of for sure. I mean, by all means, I just I wanted to follow up with that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There was a comment Viper Scout made, and I didn't know you had it starred, and I want to make sure I
Yeah, I
understood.
got it.
Oh,
And he's
okay.
asking a question.
I got you 3-star about the comment Giraffes made. Okay. Yes.
Uh,
So,
Invincible or The Boys? So far, I've really liked Invincible.
oh, me too.
And if we're talking about comic books, I love them both. If we're talking about television shows, the first season of The Boys was amazing, and it deviated from the comics, but not so far that you couldn't enjoy it.
Right.
After that, it deviated so far from the comics that it really pulled you out of it. And then they got into personal identity politics and all kinds of other
Yes.
stuff.
Oh no.
That and at first they said, well, if you're seeing our politics in it, then you're not watching our show. And that all the way to the point where they said, if you don't like my politics, don't watch my show.
I was going to
And
say exactly.
I'm done.
Yeah.
If you'd stuck with the idea that you're not putting your politics in there on purpose,
Right.
you're just telling the story as it was written in the comic books, then I'd say okay. But they deviated so far from what V is to who the characters are, to
There's
all kinds
also
of stuff.
some man.
But that performance from Homelander, that actor has been nailing that performance
Still every
he's
season.
every season.
Yes.
But he's also unintentionally become their version of this political figure, and people are saying, hey, we really like this character. It's like, no, you can't like him. And it's like,
Right.
but we do.
Yeah, and real quick, just to make sure too, and that Viper Scott says, he's just talking about the deconstruction of superheroes like Invincible or
Yeah.
The Boys. But as a question, however, if
Yeah.
you wanted to take it that way, I'm still with you between the two.
Yeah.
Is that Invincible, preferably for me? But
Yeah.
I did like Boys season 1, season 2 got a little weird for me.
And I never
There's
watched
some
any season after 2.
there were some scenes in this most recent season that I thought really contributed to a narrative that
Yeah.
I think is real funky, and I think
Yeah.
that hearing the showrunner make comments about why certain assaults against a man is no big deal, but
Yeah.
against a woman it's a big deal. And I just was like, yeah, no, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And right here, Eric Thurman, yeah, the sexual perversion of that show is too much, and I can
Okay.
understand for some people where that would be the case. Now it in the first season I thought was played comedic effect with one of the people they capture, one of the supers they capture, but
And
no, it's been taken a little too far, and
yeah.
there's some weird shit going on
So
there.
I'm gonna say this, and this is okay. You can take this however you want, right? There are
Say it.
two DC shows that or 3 of them, television shows that I have really liked everything I saw from them. Okay, and I'm going to say the most wholesome one first, right? I loved Stargirl. Okay, this was a show with Luke Wilson and
Mhm.
some other people, and it was a family oriented show, and it was
Right.
really interesting, the family dynamics with this whole villain thing that's going on. I thought they did a really good job with the show. Superman and Lois. Okay, I
Yeah.
thought they did a really good job with all of
Yeah.
that so far. They've got one more season, and it's really pared down, so I don't know what's going to happen. And they had to change some actors. But at the same time, Tyler Hoechlin's Superman is Superman. It's not a deconstructed Superman. It's not a Zack Snyder Superman. It's Superman with a family and how you go forward with that. Okay, now the next one is going to maybe sound weird to you. Okay, and Viper Scout, I don't think you'll like this. Okay, but I will say I loved Doom Patrol. Okay, so Doom Patrol is a really bizarre DC comic. It is out there. It is crazy. Okay, and it is the deconstruction of superheroes. It is this evil genius or good genius or whatever trying to help people, and it all goes horribly wrong, and you have all these situations, and it's highly sexualized.
Yeah.
It's very weird and out there in terms of mind control and manipulation and the emotions that are people going through and multiple personalities and all this stuff. But I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was engaging. I thought the characters did well. I don't care what the person's politics were who wrote the thing. I enjoyed the story progression and I enjoyed the weirdness that was there. My wife enjoyed it too. We enjoyed it together, and there's some stuff in there that is not for kids. Okay, it's not appropriate, and there are things in there that will make you feel uncomfortable, and that's okay sometimes. Okay, I mean you've
No,
got this
that's yes, that's
orgy of
fine.
ghosts that
That's
happen in the
fine.
house.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's giant butt monsters that run around that are giant butts. Okay, right? And there's crazy shit that happens, and there's a talking cockroach and a talking rat that are trying to take down the Doom Patrol through giant monsters. Okay, there's a street in a street named Danny that is a sentient street that houses all of the weird people. And when you think of weird people, I mean all of the weird people that you could think of,
Yeah.
right? All of the disenfranchised or anybody who's out of the ordinary come to this place and meet, and they can feel normal there, right? Okay, so there's a lot of allegories that are going on there, but at the same time, there's a story that's being told, and it's engaging, and it's interesting, and it's funny, and it's sick and twisted, and if you have that kind of sense of humor, it's a show worth watching.
Well, and look, I'm not gonna lie. I've never actually tuned into it. It has crossed my controller, my mouse, several, many times. I've read articles about some of the stars and whatnot, and this and that, but I've never tuned into it. And mainly, to be honest with you, Matthew, just because I wasn't really that familiar with the comic
Mhm.
and didn't know anything about it. And then after a couple seasons, like you and I watch a lot of the same people, I just kind of started to see articles about this and that. And that's how, and I'll be honest, that's how easy it is for something to shade how you feel about a project or how you feel about something, having never laid eyes on it and making your own decision
Yeah.
about the show. And that's something that happened for me for that show.
And this is what I'm saying about the bigger universe of DC, right?
Okay.
You've got Stargirl and Superman and Lois over here, right?
Right.
And then you've
Right.
got Doom Patrol over here, right? So you can have those two extremes and you can tell those kinds of stories. You just have to know your audience. You have to know where you're going, and it has to be presented the right way. And
Right.
there are ways to do it. And so I like both of those things. And call me weird if you want, but that's okay.
I mean,
I
I,
but you know, Eric Thurman and Viper Scout, I do not
yeah.
think that you would like Doom Patrol, right?
Well,
From what I know about you
right, right,
guys,
right, 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 right. From what
right?
you
I would
get,
say that you would not like that show,
Ha-
but if you like
you
that
don't know.
concept and are adult enough to go into that and think about things differently or whatever, you may like it. I don't know, but we enjoyed
Right.
it.
And so real quick, I'll hit up a few comments in the chats. I did want to say hey to Punk with Toys for stopping by, taking time out of him, probably reviewing a figure or something to stop by and say what's happening. And thank you for cruising in for sure. And always good to see you, definitely. And so we add one more person to the chat there, and I know everybody else will probably shout at him as well. And so real quick, just want to highlight a couple of these, and then I really quickly I want to hit upon the DC universe moving forward and what we can expect, and then we'll get to Joker 2. And before I get to Joker 2, real quick, everybody that's in the chat, uh, do, is there anything that's off limits with my review of Joker 2? Do you not want me to spoil it? Do you not want me to spoil any of it or a part of it? There are major ones I don't have to talk about. If you plan on seeing it, if you don't care, Please let me know before I get into it here in just a few minutes. Please let me know because I have a lot of notes and I just want to make sure I don't ruin anything for anyone out there that's planning on going to see it. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
let's see
Sorry.
here. Viper
I,
Scout. No, you're good.
yeah, I just pulled that up. So did I. I mean, I personally liked all the seasons of Flash. Eventually, Arrow was okay. You get to Legends of Tomorrow. The first 3 seasons were probably pretty good. After that, it went off the rails. So I agree with you on the vast majority of that for sure. Yeah, Legends of Tomorrow got super weird.
Yeah, and kind of getting it, and you saying, "Hey, I know a couple people may or may not like this show," and you never really know until you watch it at least. But Eric Thurman says the boys was so bad. I wrote the director on Twitter. You're not alone. I think there's a lot of people that weren't happy after this second season, third season, whatever. And so I could totally understand that.
Oh,
Three. Oh,
sorry.
sorry. The 3-star draw. Whoa, there we go. Here, I got you.
Okay.
3-star draw says the boys was great, but I haven't got through the newest season yet. Not because I think it's bad. I just kind of got burned out. I like the risks it took with the
Yeah.
jokes and perversions. I do too. It was a show that isn't afraid to kind of wear its freak flag on its sleeve, so to speak. So yeah, there are things I like about that. There are other things sometimes I cringe at some of the dialogue and other
Yeah.
parts.
Yeah.
Um,
Season 2 has moments, but it didn't end well for me. But
right.
after that, I
Viper
was done.
Scout. Viper
Doom Patrol
Scout.
was out there, but the cast definitely added to my enjoyment. I thought the cast was phenomenal.
It's great.
And it got so weird.
It's
but
great.
I enjoyed it.
I mean, really though, a cast with great writing can make something you have never heard about, don't know anything about, and can turn it into one of the best television shows on TV, right? Like, it's just the right combination of things. Graph
Graph,
First season of Doom Patrol was fun to watch, enjoyed it a lot. Once they snagged an audience, they did what Arrow and Flash did, though.
I disagree. I think they kept true to what they were planning on doing the entire time, and you can see it folding out as it went down. And they weren't beholden to the Berlanti universe. They were on DCU. They had no connection with Berlanti, right? The Swamp Thing show, this and Stargirl had no connection with the Berlanti universe until they decided that they were going to mix it in or whatever. But it was already after Berlanti was pretty much over. And those DCU shows got canceled. Swamp Thing had to trim 3 episodes, and they canceled the show before they could actually finish it. And it sucked because the Swamp Thing was actually going someplace interesting, and then the re-edit to lose those 3 episodes kind of ruined the ending. So there's always casualties of these things, and I kind of know where you're going, but I kind of disagree on Doom Patrol.
Real quick, wanted to say hey to Nolan stopping by. What's up?
What's up?
Thank you for sliding in here and stepping through the front door of the stream. I appreciate it. Let's see. Frostbite says I'm probably never going to watch it, so go nuts from my perspective. Right. 3-star says I'd rather it not be spoiled completely. Apparently, the ending is controversial. Oh, it's not controversial.
Yeah,
I don't think it's controversial at all. I think it's stupid. Let's see here. If I get
hey, Mr. Wonderful joined us.
Hey, Paul Orndorff in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Cool. Mr. Wonderful in this corner. Let's see real quick. And anybody else has said anything? I don't think so. Although this comment, we know all about the modern audience, don't we, Matthew? Many shows and many movies have chased the modern audience to ill-gotten gains.
So what I find interesting is that the vast majority of shows that have come out in the last 3 years have not chased or have not decided to bring in an audience and then switch gears afterwards.
Right.
They've decided to go full bore on the front of it, and then their shows don't last. or
Right.
nobody watches them after the first season. And, you know, even if they throw money at it and make a second or a third or a fifth season of some shows that nobody ever watched, like Star Trek Discovery, you know, it's a waste of time.
Right. Um, so that kind of gets us caught up a little bit on chat. Again, anybody in the chat, if you don't want me to spoil the Joker, folie adieu, let me know. And if you don't want me to spoil major plot lines, but I do have several notes, and I'll be honest with you folks, and I'm just going to tell you before I get into it, because we're going to cover a little bit of what's coming out with the James Gunn DCU. Um, I just want to tell you guys about this film is that many of you will never ever watch it again in your entire life.
Yep.
You may see it one time, and that will be the only time you see it your
Yep.
entire life. So just to prep you
Yep.
for my review. Um, so
and I'll say this, you know,
yeah,
not a spoiler per se, but you know, Todd didn't want to make this movie.
nope,
Joaquin didn't want to make this movie.
nope,
They shoved boatloads of cash at him to make this movie, and they finally acquiesced and said yes. Todd
yes,
Phillips loves Martin Scorsese, so he did Taxi Driver and King of Comedy as the first movie, right? He mixed those together to make the first movie, and then he took Martin Scorsese's worst film he ever made,
yep,
called New York, New York, and made the second movie.
yeah.
And
So
if you understand what that means, then you understand where the sequel is going to go.
yeah, and so I'm gonna get into it. I am gonna get into it, but really quickly, let's kind of see what's in the pipeline for the DCU. James Gunn, what he's got planned. Obviously, Superman, I think, is supposed to come out in July of next year. Is that correct? I think that's the target for Superman, July 11th, 2025. It's the first movie in the new DCU by James Gunn, who has been given full and complete and ultimate control of the DC universe moving forwards when it comes to film and probably television. I hope they stay away from the television part to an extent, unless we get more shows like Penguin.
Well, you know, I mean, I did like the what was that show called? The guy from Suicide Squad.
Oh,
John Cena.
yeah, John Cena, the
Peacemaker. Yeah, Peacemaker. Yeah,
yeah.
I had fun with that. It was stupid,
No, that was successful. That was
yeah,
done well. Yeah.
and Flag should have been a part of it, but they wasted that opportunity. But anyway,
Yeah. But we've got Superman. I think as we kind of scroll through these, I think the one thing we probably will agree on, Matthew, is that in order for this all to succeed, Superman must be a hit, hands
absolutely
down. I
has to
think
be.
yes, if Superman does not get off the ground, so to speak, then I think the rest of this becomes a moot point,
Yep.
and people will be checked out, especially with superhero fatigue, if you will,
Yep.
for some people. I do believe that firmly that will be the case if it does not do well.
It's got to be a 1.5 to $2 billion movie.
I agree with you. I really do. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Man.
Okay, so let's rewind a second here and go over the failure of the last 6 DC movies.
Yes.
Okay, the last 6 movies that they
Yes.
have released have been box office failures.
Right.
Okay, they have bombed so hard that I don't know why Warner Brothers is still in business. Okay, in the old days they wouldn't be, right, because they made a pile of crap. And you may enjoy parts of it, and I enjoy parts of some of those movies, but they were not successful. And this Joker movie, okay, so the first Joker movie, Warner Brothers didn't even fund it all. They got investment companies to come in and help fund more than half of the budget of $55 million to make the first Joker movie. They made over $1 billion. Well, guess what? They only got about 200 million of that
Yeah,
because
they didn't get
of how
all
much.
that. Yeah, they didn't get all
And
that
so they took
profit.
that 200 million and they
Mhm.
gave it to Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix to make Joker 2. Joker 2 bombed. So they lost all that money.
All that money they saved on Batgirl by not releasing it, the
Yeah.
tax write-off,
Yeah.
they have kind of now just that's all been absorbed into this movie, The Joker 2, which, folks, I'm just gonna tell you, judging by the receipts, this movie is not gonna make its
No.
budget back, and it's not gonna make a cent, I don't
No.
think. So Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, the Batman, the Brave and the Bold. Now, look, I like the Brave and the Bold series, the animated series. I thought it was kind of cool. There's some cool aspects of it. I like the
Now,
animation.
is this article presuming that the Brave and the Bold is a Matt Reeves Batman?
So I'm gonna scroll to the top and I'm gonna give you the date on this.
Okay, because as I understand,
October 4th, 2024.
okay,
This is on Games Radar. So this is October 4th.
so I will say that they probably used the wrong image for that because
Yeah.
James Gunn does not want
No.
Robert Pattinson as Batman.
No, you're
And James
correct.
Gunn will not have Robert Pattinson in his Batman universe.
This
He's already said that the Batman is a different universe Batman.
And this also has not even been cast. Like, we
Right.
haven't heard any information about the
Okay.
cast
Okay.
on The Brave and the Bold. There's been nothing released, and even here, you release date, whatever, of course, but
So this is a placeholder.
yeah, this is a placeholder and
Okay.
obvious subject to change.
Yeah.
And then Swamp Thing. Would I like to see a Swamp Thing movie, an accurate R-rated or really like Swamp Thing? Absolutely, I would love to.
It would be amazing, but they did such a good job with the TV show until they canned it.
Right.
But I mean, they could do a movie right with this, and it wouldn't be as cheesy as the '80s TV commercials with Swamp Thing
Right.
teaching kids
Right.
about littering.
Yeah. Right. Oh my god.
Now this one
The
gets
Authority.
me.
The Authority.
Yeah, this is bullshit.
I don't know
No.
why you would even want to
Nope.
attempt this. I don't know why it would be part of your plan.
Nope.
It is characters no one cares about, nor do they know.
Right. The vast
Only
majority of the
your
audience
hardcore.
has no idea. Yeah. Has
Yes.
no idea who these people are.
And I'm sorry, I don't care how many hardcore fans there are. That's not enough to support the
Now,
Authority.
This is my problem with James Gunn.
Not.
This is my problem with James Gunn. Okay. He knows how to do quirky, irreverent things. So the Authority draws his attention because he knows how to work with that kind of a group. I don't think he's capable of telling a Batman or a Superman or a Wonder Woman story because he doesn't have that solid foundation of the superhero model. He's got to be quirky and weird and have a team up. That's what he's good at. That's what we know he's good at.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't know that he may put the right people in place to do it, and it may work out, but I don't have a lot of faith that he can do it as the head of the studio or whatever.
If he's giving the notes, if he is the final say so to speak, the lore master, whatever you want to call it and everything, then yes, I'm not so sure. Now, if he is doling out responsibility and allowing people to make their vision and there's creativity there, and we're not seeing the same old schlock, and it's not just the end of the world alien laser coming down and everybody, it's these, it depends on the story and everything. And what I mean by that, for those of you, is that there's so many of these, like, oh gosh, it's the end of the world, there's this big massive thing that's going to blow up, the whole city, and we have to save everybody from it. If you have a more grounded or more like lower level type of story that can work, rather than it feeling like again, like that first Suicide Squad movie, for instance, that was so goofy and ultimately ended up being that kind of movie. Superman, right? Like, not Batman versus Superman, but the first one,
Man of Steel.
Man of Steel. But yes, so like, a grounded story. Okay, maybe this can work. You introduce these characters to people who have never heard of them, don't know anything about them. As Tony Figg says, authority is badass. And
And
while
I
that
don't,
may
I
very well
don't,
be true,
yeah, I don't
I don't
disagree
know
with
how.
you.
Yeah, but you're normal. Even there's there's plenty of super nerds out there that have no
Yep.
idea who the authority is, right? Like it just depends on what you're into. Creature
Yep.
Commandos, while I think could be fun again,
It's the same
it,
thing.
it's the same thing, right? And this is December 5th, 2024. Right now, this is going to be premiering on Max. It's an animated series. We shall see. I'll be honest with you, and right here, this name, I am tired of Amanda Waller. I'm so, I get it, but like, man, let's just cut the shit, man. Like trying to make Amanda Waller this star of whatever it is you want to make her the star of, man. She's a character. I've had enough of Amanda Waller. I have. I'm sorry. Like I just have. And maybe I'm the only one, but
I mean,
again,
I like Amanda Waller, but she is part of the task force, the Suicide Squad, right? So,
right,
she's always manipulating things in the background. She's the evil government influence, right? She's the
right.
evil corporate influence. She's the fascist overlord, and she's looking to take on that role. And uh, you know, eh, I don't mind her as a character. I don't mind her
Right.
being involved with these stories. It just depends on how you're going to use the situation, right?
Yeah, I guess for me, it's just been the last couple here movies or,
Yeah.
last few things I've watched, and I'm just burnt out on that character, I guess. And
Okay,
it's gonna have Viola Davis reprise the character
that's all right.
again, and
That's all right.
I don't
That's all
know,
right. I
man.
like
It
Viola
doesn't
Davis. She's
work
a
for
good actress.
me.
She's a good
Yeah,
actress. I think she
yeah.
I think she fit the role well. This one gets me. Peacemaker season 2.
Right.
Okay. When was season 1?
That was I mean, it's been a minute, man. It's
I
been a
I mean
minute.
it was 2022,
2, I think, you're right,
and so we're
2022.
waiting till 2025 to get
Yeah,
season 2 out.
and it's still to be, in
Oh,
whatever
so
the
so
hell.
we don't even have a date on it. So who
No,
the
there's
fuck
no
cares?
date. No, there's no date. So you're talking about now I mean, that could be 2026. By
Yeah,
then
so who
that yeah,
cares? Because
exactly.
season 1 was forever ago. So who cares about season 2? What how can you make a TV show and wait 3 years to release the second season or the next season of the show when you have to wait 2 years to release another season of a show?
Right.
What's the point? Yeah,
I
these
don't
aren't
understand it.
serialized television
Right,
storytelling anymore. It's just a waste of everybody's time.
right. I mean, it's, it's just the announcement of things, and I think so often we see it's the announcement and it's to get hype, and then all of a sudden it quietly just goes away.
Yeah.
And then the actors get either too old to portray the parts, or it gets rewritten 7 times. They can't agree on a script,
Or somebody
right?
passes away in between. I mean,
Yeah, oh God, yes. Carrie Fisher. Anyway, all right. So Paradise Lost. Don't care. Just don't care. Wonder Woman TV prequel series. Don't care. Do not care.
I mean, you know how many times they've tried to do a Wonder Woman TV series? I
They
mean,
had one. They had one that was super hot, but she looked like a cosplayer. It
well,
looked like
I
it
mean,
never got
she
off the
she
ground.
also
Looked like a
cosplays Lady
cosplayer.
J, and I didn't
I
mind her
know. I
cosplaying Lady
know.
J.
Yeah.
you know, you
But
know,
this is Matthew, come on, man. Like seriously, who's going to be into this as a
I,
TV series? If you want to try to redo
no,
Wonder Woman again, and they show the picture of Gal Gadot, not happening. Chris
no,
Pine, not happening.
yeah, no.
Give up that ghost. That ship has sailed, my friends.
Well, and Linda Carter's recent comments don't help the situation either because
Right.
everybody loved Linda Carter, and everybody loves Gal Gadot, but Gal
Right.
Gadot
Oh,
has been
Viper Scout brings up a good point that it was set in the
yeah.
Snyderverse. That's
Yeah,
right.
well,
And so why use that picture too, right? Why use that
so
picture?
I'm just saying these are placeholders because they don't have anything better because they don't know how to look up comic book stuff. I'm just saying.
No,
I
no,
mean,
very true. And look,
eh,
Games Radar is
yeah,
not your best
yeah,
source,
no,
but again, I saw this was from October 4th, and so I kind of went with it, at least being
yeah.
current. Booster Gold, I
I
heard this
think
is going to
Booster
be a
Gold could be.
race. It's going to be a race swap.
Ah, shit, that would piss me off. But
No,
I mean,
it will 100% it will be. That I almost 100% guarantee this will be a race swapped character, and it will not be and follow the traditional what we know of Booster Gold. I think they will change the story. I feel they will really I really do. And for those that have hope in James Gunn for this, I just as you go through these shows and
you
you
just
start
killed it
looking
for me,
at
man.
them,
You just killed it for me because Booster Gold could be so good,
I agree,
right?
but do
I
you
mean,
think for 1 second, do you think for 1 second anyway,
I,
especially
I,
after
I,
November.
I,
Do you
I,
think for 1 second you're going to have this blonde haired, blue eyed, all American Booster Gold character? I just don't
I,
think
I,
so. I
I
don't think so.
do. I
I
do
don't.
because he's an idiot.
I just don't think I don't think it's going to happen. I think it will be, and there's been
Well,
a
I
couple of
mean,
things
I think they could because he's an idiot, and they can get away with it that way.
I guess if you want to portray the character as yes, okay, and I know exactly what you're saying with that. Yes, I
Yes.
do understand, but I just do feel that way, and then we have Waller. So now we have a Amanda Waller focused show on who knows what. It says it's a spinoff show. Amanda Waller with Viola Davis. It's going to pick up in the aftermath of Peacemaker season 2, which is 2BD. We don't even know anything about that. So what is this
Yeah.
going to be 2028? Is this going to be 2027,
No.
2029? Like, I mean, you know what I mean? Like you're right. Again, placeholders, lanterns. Now we have lanterns, right? And again, a placeholder. It's
So hold
John
on.
Stewart and Hal Jordan.
I'm gonna address this real quick. Um, Viper Scout because he's a buffoon. Matthew, best me talking. Yeah, so I agree. He's a buffoon. He's an idiot. That's the character. But here we go. Green Lantern. Do you know which Green Lantern they would pair him with to help control him or help him out? Because they would bring that new Green Lantern who's not a Green Lantern who's better than all the other Green Lanterns in. They would bring her in to control Booster Gold and make sure that he was on the right path. And that's what they would do with the Booster
Now,
Gold movie.
I want to show you this. This is from 5 months ago. It says James Gunn. Yes, it's true. The Lanterns DCU series is putting together a crack team of writers based on a wonderful pilot script and Bible by Chris Mundy, Tom King, and Damon Lindelof. Oh, great.
Oh,
Uh,
the
uh,
last two names killed it. The last
exactly.
two names, Tom
Yes.
King and Damon
Yes.
Lindelof, killed it.
Hello. For any of you, just look those up. Tom King, Damon Lindelof. Go ahead and look those up. You tell me what you think about that. And we'll get back to us next week. How about that? So far that's pretty much what we have on slate. That's kind of what we've been given. We'll see. I just wanted to get in that to that momentarily
Yeah.
because that's kind of what what's coming up for DC, and we were talking about Penguin and maybe Batman and whatever else that is coming down the pike with that. So look, we're rounding third, we're coming into home. I know you did not get
Hey,
a
hold
chance.
on. Hold on. What's your beef with Hal? Okay? What's your beef with Hal? Hal Jordan is a great Green Lantern. I mean, I like John Stewart probably the best, but Hal Jordan's a great one. It's Guy Gardner that's the asshole that nobody likes.
I really quickly too. Same time toys just stopped by too. Always a pleasure as well. It says stopping by, hit the like button to say hi and hit the like button. Replay squad as always, and yeah, for anybody out there, look, hit the like button, hit the subscribe or share, whatever you want to do. It's always appreciated. Definitely helps. And again, I'll say it every week. It's not as fun without people in the chat. It's not as fun to go through and bring up what you guys talk about, because that is important to me, and it's important to know that hey, you guys, y'all enjoy being here. You like what we talk about. Maybe not every topic is for you. Or maybe it is, right? But it definitely is a lot more fun when y'all are here. And so yeah, man, hit the like button definitely, and tell somebody about the stream if you can. Maybe at work, something like that. If you like what you hear, man. Go ahead and read that one real quick, Matthew.
You got a point there, Viper Scout. I don't think he's talking about the DC character. Okay, you got me. I try not to think about that guy because he's whatever. I don't care. I don't want to talk about him.
Viper Scout also says, Booster Gold could be fun. And look, it could be, but right now my faith in television is not as strong as it was when Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, and the like were out, even the Clone Wars for that matter.
So I pulled my Tony's figs on that one. I'm sorry.
Right.
But nobody got banned. So
yeah, right. Yeah. No banning going on here. All right. So really quickly, I'm going to share this screen with y'all to preface my review of Joker Folie à Deux, Joker 2 as it's primarily known, flops with lower than projected $37 million box office debut. That is hideous.
That $200 million budget that we know of.
That is rough, considering a movie that made well over $1 billion. Okay. It was not only, I guess, quote unquote controversial, but it was intriguing. It was captivating. It had the media in a frenzy, hoping something bad would happen. They almost were trying to will it to happen when in fact it was Frozen 2 that something bad happened in the theater. But here's the deal. And just off the top, I just want to say, not only did I not want this movie to be what I'm about to tell you about, I did enjoy the first movie. I did feel in the third act that it started to run its course, and I did get a little tired of its message. I understood the message. So for those of you out there, Joker 1, the message is about mental health and about people falling through the cracks of the system and not getting maybe the help they need. And then at the same token, I think part of it is about the 15-minute fame culture a little bit, and false impressions of what you think people think of you, or what you see. I think it has schizophrenia out there. I think there's multiple personalities sort of. There's a lot of messages within that first movie.
Well, and another one is fighting the corporate machine, fighting against the government or the corporate machine is a big major theme in the first one.
Yes.
Along with the mental health issues. And I thought both of those were portrayed in such a way that it's like, holy crap, we got to pay attention to this. We are not doing enough in the system to help people with these issues and to deal with this. And then you go into this other side of it, of fighting the corporate government system, the fascist system, and trying to create a rebellion out of it, or whatever you want to say. And that's the first movie, and that's why the first movie had so much attention, why people liked it so much.
Yes. I'm going to share this. So the first movie did very well. As a matter of fact, it was the highest earning R-rated comic book movie ever until Deadpool Wolverine came out.
Yep.
Really enjoyed the first one. So I am so hold on to your wigs here, folks. Now, Matthew, I know you have not seen this movie, but you have been spoiled, right? Like
Yes.
you know everything there is to basically know about this movie. I think okay. So I put a few things down on my phone and I'm just gonna kind of go through it for you folks. And if you want to scroll through the chat or whatever, again, I will maybe put some minor spoilers, but for anyone that doesn't want totally spoiled, then I will tell you ahead of time to turn your volume down. Okay, how about that? Is that okay? Turn your volume down if you don't want to, but I'll just give you some my thoughts on this movie. Number one, actually, I want to show you what my theater looked like. How about that? I'm gonna show you what my theater looked like when I went to go
Yeah,
see
that was awesome. I saw that.
it. So, here you go. I will show you what my theater looked like today. When I went to go see this movie, and it looked like this. That's what my theater looked like today when I went to go see it. Um, Empty. I was the only person in the theater today. Now you may say, "Hey,
Wow.
that's a Tuesday, right? It's a Tuesday. It's 4 o'clock. Okay.
Still.
Well, I can guarantee you the first movie when this came out on a Tuesday at 4 o'clock, I guarantee you there were people in the theater.
Yep.
Okay. So the second thing I want to tell you folks is that I told several people over the last 2 or 3 days that I was going to see this movie today. I even got out of work a little bit early so I could make sure that I got to the screening so I could prepare for tonight. Um, every single person that I told I was going to see this movie, Matthew, the main phrase that came out of their mouth was, "Yeah, I haven't heard good things about it." That literally was the same thing everyone said. "Yeah,
So
yeah,
I,
everything I've read hasn't been good. Oh, it
I'll say
doesn't look
this.
that good."
I've been spoiled about this movie. I've been kind of
Sure.
saying it's probably not worth seeing for most people. And one of my employees said that they were going to go see Transformers 1 this weekend. I go, "Oh yeah, tell me how that is. I've heard good things about it." And she said her schedule didn't work out, so they went to go see the Joker 2. And she said, "Yeah, don't."
Yep. So that's another thing, right? Exactly. So that tells you that people are getting word of mouth to
Yep.
not go see this film.
Yep.
So I just wanna throw those 2 things out, is that, yes, it right off the top, everybody I told I was gonna go see it, "Yeah, I'm gonna go see it, I gotta review it Tuesday night, I wanna give my opinion and make sure, it's an honest review," and every single person said, "Oh, yeah, it's got, mixed reviews," or, "Yeah, I haven't heard anything really good about it." So
Yep.
that is a big sign that
Yep.
just your normie that
Yep.
saw the first one
Yep.
has no interest in this one. All right, so, um, number 1, I'm gonna tell you that, you should wait for this on streaming. It will probably be streaming in 30 days. Um, you should
Yeah,
wait
yeah,
for this.
it will be gone in the next week and a half.
Yeah, do not spend your hard-earned money to go see this movie. The reason why I asked about as far as spoilers and everything is because, folks, I'm gonna tell you, anything I spoil in this movie, it doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
it truly doesn't matter. There is
Yep.
not one thing in this movie that's gonna make you go, "Ooh, ah, whoa, I didn't see that coming." Nothing. Not a single thing in this movie that's gonna make you feel any other way other than when you're walking out and you did what I did, which was laughing my ass off. And actually, I even remarked, it was a Joker laugh when I was walking out of the theater, and I was like, "Oh god, that was." Oh, yeah, I was yeah, right. I was chuckling. I mean, I was like I was like, "What the fuck did I just watch?" So, okay, the songs aren't needed.
Nope.
Most of them aren't even sung very well.
Nope.
It is your talking singing. It is people going, for once in my life, someone who needs me. Not I haven't there before. For once in my life. That's literally more than half the songs are sung that way. Okay. So
It's
just
not a musical.
it's not a musical, and that's in my notes. It is not a musical. One number during a variety show segment is probably actual normal singing.
Okay.
And then there's another gospel number where Lady Gaga is playing the piano and Arthur is tap dancing. So Joaquin Phoenix is showing off his tap skills. I don't know if that's AI feed or not. They do show a whole picture of him dancing. So I assume it is him as a method actor or whatever he does. He does look emaciated. He looks nasty. I don't know if they did the Steve Rogers treatment in Captain America where they put his head on somebody else's body or not, but he definitely lost a bunch of weight for this movie and looks absolutely grotesque. And he's in prison, by the way. So if you didn't see the end of the first one, he's in prison, folks. Takes place about 2 years after the first movie. Okay, so in the movie, every time Arthur starts to feel down, okay, he starts to feel down about himself, like he's just not, I don't know what to think. He meets Lady Gaga in this singing class in a different part of Arkham somehow. He's allowed to go somehow. And even though he hasn't been put on trial yet.
Somehow.
Yeah. So somehow he meets her. Anyway, so they talk for momentarily, and all of a sudden he falls head over heels in love. Every time he starts to feel down about himself, she gets real close to him and she starts to sing a song like this. And it's Sesame Street and Oscar the Grouch. And then he feels better about himself. And this happens like 3 times. And by the third time, I'm like, seriously? Like, dude, like feel better about yourself. You don't need this bitch singing to you to feel good. All right. So it gets a little goofy with that. Okay. Uh, there's barely a movie score in this film. Okay. There's really not much ambient music or movie score to this movie, Matthew. It is mostly the musical numbers, which aren't really true musical numbers because
Right.
most of them don't last long enough, nor do they involve
The
deep enough
story.
dancing, nor do they advance the plot. They
Right.
don't advance the plot. They are very small segments, little segues between parts of the movie that have nothing to do with what you just saw. Now, some people may say, "Oh, what are you talking about? That song, obviously, the words of it relates to what he's feeling right now." Okay, I may give you that, but the number itself isn't done in a way that a traditional musical would advance the plot and provide exposition about something.
Right.
It's just a popular pop song that
Yeah.
you've heard before, other than good God, do they love when the saints go marching in? Jesus Christ, that song is played and whistled and hummed 40 times in this movie, especially in the first act. It gets old. Um, but anyway, there's no musical score. There's no musical score. There is no She-Hulk twerking, by the way. And had she twerked in this movie, I probably would have been a lot happier, even with the CGI She-Hulk. Okay, so there's no score. This movie seems to be a vehicle for Lady Gaga. I'm guessing she's like the modern day Elvis Presley. She has a contract that every movie she's in, she must sing. They must utilize her singing talent somehow. And so therefore in this movie, instead of just acting, she has to sing numbers, right? She has to show off her soul part. She has to show off her Americana version. She has to show off her pop singer version. She has to show off her country version.
But
It's
she sings so many songs. How is it showing anything off?
I agree. Now there is, again, like I said, there is a number. There's a soul. It's a
Mm.
gospel number that she does, and it's a phrase she mentions like we're going to build a mountain. out of a hill. It's really stupid, actually. And I guess it's an old gospel song because once they start singing it, she's on the piano and she's jamming it. Gonna make a mountain out of a hill. Gonna make a mountain. And then Joker starts tap dancing. He doesn't even sing. He just starts going, look at her. Like, what? Wow. It's like, okay. But it just doesn't add anything. It's like, okay, we're showing off Lady Gaga's musical chops here. And then there's an interview in the courtroom. Part 2 of this movie, the act 2 to 3, is in a courtroom drama, but there's really no drama. It's very boring. It's really, really not good. There's nothing there. You're just watching things play out, and they bring in a dwarf, okay, from the first movie. He's a little Scottish guy or whatever he is.
Yeah, I
Mr.
heard he did
Puddle.
a good performance though.
Mr. Puddles, okay. Mr. Puddles gives a amazing performance. The actor gives a wonderful performance. And as a matter of fact, his performance in this movie is the deciding factor in what happens in the plot. He is the end all be all, truly the end all be all of what happens to Arthur in this movie. And I have it in my notes. Look, go down to graph here real quick at the very bottom. They do have a dwarf, and it's not a CGI dwarf. It's a real person. They didn't hire a regular, tall, normal person. They actually forget Peter Dinklage for a minute. I know he hates any other dwarf actors out there, okay, that take up his roles, because he probably could have played this role. He probably was contacted. But because this guy was in the first movie, they actually brought a real life dwarf person to play this part instead of CGIing one, not to offend anyone. So, and then you can highlight the one up above that, the leg room, which that's a good comment. Yeah, the pros so far is that you have plenty of leg room. Yeah, no, not only in the theater, but yeah, according to Mr. Puddles, you're up.
We don't use that term in here, Darren. we say dwarf because that's the appropriate term.
It is, but I will tell you, I will also say midget as well. And so
that's a different term. That's a different terminology. Because a midget is somebody under 4'11" that has more normal proportions of the body type, whereas a dwarf has a disproportionate body type.
Well, he did have grubby little fingers, so I guess in that sense he does fit into that dwarven mold. Okay, so anyway, all right, look. The music doesn't convey anything to the audience. There's no connective tissue within it. And so what is this movie? It's definitely not a musical. There also is no statement in this movie. This movie's not trying to make a statement. As much as the media may try to tell you, like the first movie, there is no statement in this movie. Also, real quick, for those of you that don't want to hear this, cut your volume down right now. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to cut your volume down if you do not want to be spoiled.
Darren, I'm talking to you.
Yes. By the end of this movie, cut your volume down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spoilers now. Okay. So the end of this movie, all right? The end of this movie, Arthur goes through the trial. Courtroom blows up. Harvey Dent's face gets messed up. And you guys in the chat also tell him, I'll give a thumbs up, and you guys tell him when it's okay to come back in for 3-star draw. So at the end of the movie, blows up. Joker escapes, or should I say Arthur escapes, and the love of his life doesn't want anything to do with him. Now, she is a fame-mongering whore. She wants her 15 minutes of fame. She's a star fucker, and she wants to fuck a star. And so, for some reason, she wants to fuck Joker or...
Well, she wants to fuck the Joker, and as soon as he realizes that
he's not
Arthur's
the Joker.
Not the Joker, she fucking destroys him.
So, in the courtroom, because of Mr. Puddles, the dwarf, because of his testimony, the day before the jury comes back with a verdict, his testimony is so powerful that Arthur realizes he's not the Joker, that
Yep.
his friend, this was a guy he liked, and he's trying to put on this show. He tries to be this Southern lawyer, and he's like, well, I will be Mr. Puddles that you really need. Because Joker decides to represent himself. Arthur decides to represent himself. He fires his lawyer. And so he puts on this freaking Southern lawyer accent that is so ridiculous. Well, I do declare, it's Foghorn Leghorn. I do
No, no, no.
declare.
It's the chicken lawyer from Futurama.
Yes, or Foghorn Leghorn.
Yeah.
I do declare, Mr. Puddles, that your testimony is just jarring. I don't believe for 1 second you believe what you're saying. And then Mr. Puddles gives this very, very deep testimony, and he really makes Arthur realize that, like, he's not an evil person. He's just fucked up. Okay.
Yeah.
So they catch him. He escapes. He doesn't want to escape. He realizes he's not the Joker. He doesn't want to escape. He gets caught again after the courtroom blows up. He gets caught again. They bring him back in. And in the final scene of the movie, one of the guards walks up to him and they say, hey, you got a visitor. So he takes him around the corner, and this guy stops him. So the prisoner stops him. Now, earlier in the movie, you hear the classic Joker laugh. In the very first few minutes, first minute or two of the movie, you hear somebody in the background going, so this prisoner stops him and he says, hey, I got a joke for you, man. I bet you never heard this one. And he tells a joke. He said, a psychopath walks into a bar and there's a terrible comedian on stage. And he tells this joke about watching a terrible comedian, and he tells this whole joke, and the punchline is, you get what you deserve. And right when he says you get what you deserve, this guy shivs the shit out of Arthur. And Arthur stands there, and then you see a couple scenes, and he sings a song in this voice that's like, once in my life. and then he falls against the wall, and he dies. And in the background, while you're watching Arthur die, in the background, you hear this character just laughing and laughing and laughing. And it's the Joker laugh. And then you see him take the knife and he splits the sides of his mouth like the Joker smile. And so the whole
From The
time,
Dark Knight Returns, from the Nolan movie, not
yes.
from any other incarnation of the Joker.
And the whole time, this guy has been in prison, and Arthur, who has been acting like the Joker, thinks he wants to be the Joker, then comes to the realization that he doesn't want to be the Joker, while this chick is in love with the Joker, realizes he's not the Joker, so she doesn't want to be with him. And then he sees her after he escapes, and she says, I don't want you. You're not who you are. And so he gets killed at the end of the movie, and the real Joker is in the prison. Now, they show this guy earlier in the movie.
Yep.
When they're watching a news broadcast, very early in the movie, they actually show this guy with his back against the wall watching the newscast, and they hold on him momentarily and never show him again until the very end. So the end of the movie, they not only deconstruct the character, but then they reconstruct the character, only to deconstruct the character again. And then they kill him at the end with a guy who supposedly is the real Joker that's in Arkham Asylum. This entire time, he's been in prison for 2 years.
Yeah.
And finally, this guy gets the balls to go up to him and tell him a joke. And that's that. And so I don't want 3-star to have to stay.
You're leaving out the whole prison rape scene that he enjoyed.
Okay, no, here's the deal. Okay. And at this point, like 3-star, if y'all want to tell 3-star, he can turn his volume back up. I know he's about the only one that didn't want it to be spoiled. There is a scene that after Arthur comes back from one of the court dates, and he talks crap about the prison guards. Now, the prison guards have a give and take relationship with all the prisoners in Arkham. He does as well. And so they'll give him cigarettes if he tells them jokes. Some days he has good days. Some days he has bad days. Sometimes he thinks he's kind of their friend and they slap him on the head. They or whatever. But anyway, and so one of the court scenes, he comes back from court and they kind of feel he's disrespected them. and they're watching the court thing play out on television. And they take him back and they beat the shit out of him. However, it is implied that when they drag him through the hallways and they rough him up a bit and then they take him into the showers, and at one point they're like taking his clothes off and one of the guys says, "Get him out of his rags." That's what he says. The dialogue is, "Get him out of his rags." And he's in his underwear at this point. Now, you don't see anything, Matthew. You don't um you don't you
The-
don't
the-
see it. It's really not even implied, to be honest with you, Matthew. It's
okay.
not. It's really not
Really?
implied. And I can
Okay.
see where some people would want to take that and run with it.
Yeah.
I don't feel it was implied. What was implied was they beat the crap out of him. However, the reason why I could see why it's implied that they graped him in the shower, the guards graped him, is because you don't see them really beating him.
Yep.
You only see them taking his clothes off and reaching down to kind of pull his underwear off, but you don't see his body when they're
Yep.
doing it, and you don't
Well,
see the underwear come
and you
up
got
in
to
the
remember
frame.
where I'm getting that from. We got to get
That's
that
true.
from a guy who spent time in federal penitentiary
That's
before.
true. And so that's why I say I could see where some people would say, "Hey, it's an
Yeah.
implied grape scene," but I from my perspective,
Sure.
I did not necessarily take away from it that, but I did take away that they beat the crap out of him. Did they do anything else? I don't know, but I could see where maybe some would take that. Until
Yeah.
we get clarification on that, we just don't know.
Well, from what I've heard, Lady Gaga is in shock and Todd Phillips is in hiding right now. So
Yeah. I did see actually, I did see where Lady Gaga evidently, she had a reaction
yeah.
to the film, reaction to Joker 2, and just real quickly, she's in shock at the poor reaction. This is the Daily Mail. I'll show this real fast.
Daily Mail, be careful.
I know, but I think this story probably is pretty. It just says that she's disappointed at the immense flood of negative reactions, and there's a reason, folks. Look, man, there's a reason why this is getting negative reactions, man, because you had a first movie that did a great job and built this character up and did some really interesting things with it. And then literally in the second movie, they turn around and they just destroy that character. And I get what they're trying to show, I guess, like, but this isn't Harley Quinn. This is not Harley Quinn. This is not Harley Quinn, you know. This is not a Harley Quinn you've seen. I don't care what version. I don't care if it's Suicide
Well,
Squad. I don't care. No.
she
You
she's
haven't seen it.
well, okay.
You
I haven't
haven't
seen it.
seen
I
it.
haven't seen it, but she falls in love with the Joker
Yes, but
and changes who she is because of that.
she does, but man, I am
Yeah,
telling you,
no,
dude,
I know
it
what you're saying.
is
I know what you're
not.
saying.
This is not.
Yeah.
And yes, of course, we can't take away her agency, Matthew.
No, not in
Right?
any aspect.
Now they can take away Arthur's agency,
Yeah.
right? That's okay. But we can't take away hers. And she also in the movie becomes somewhat of a celebrity to the media. And then he has a lawyer, and this lawyer is like, look, this bitch is crazy. She's lying to you. And he falls head over heels in love with her. And that's also part of the ultimate problem. But they do have some hints in there. You do get to see Harvey Dent's face, half of his face gets kind of blown up. But or messed up rather. But ultimately, I'm going to tell you, folks, I seriously, again, save your money, watch it in streaming. If you go see this movie, I'm going to guess you're going to be in a theater. And if it's on a Friday or a Saturday, there might be maybe 5 or 10 other people in there with you. This is going to die quickly.
Yeah, it's not going to be a theater long. If you like the first movie, I would suggest not seeing this one.
Just leave it at that. Leave it at that. Let your imagination run wild after the first movie.
Yep.
But they I think, and I agree with Nerdrotic and Az and Mahler and whomever else.
They answer questions that we didn't want the answers to.
And I think that part of this is that they felt that the first movie, there's people that really like the first movie, and they want to rectify that situation
Yeah.
and decide that they want to change it because
Well,
of.
it goes from defying the fascist corporate government structure to being beaten down and submitting to it. I mean, it's a
Right,
complete reversal
right.
of theme.
Now there, portrayals the lawyer that's trying to help him, the psychiatrist is trying to help him. I don't think there's anything nefarious there, and I don't think there was a message there. It seemed like your genuine social worker or psychologist. It's like, look, I'm here to help you. Through the premise of the movie, uh, what they're trying to convey to the court, and they do an interview for the national audience where they visit him in jail and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, yeah, no, don't seriously, do not spend your hard-earned money going to see this film. And I hate saying that. I wish it was great, but it's not.
Yep.
And it's not going to do well at all. And it did shit the bed, Eric Thurman. It really did, and that's too bad. I think that not only did Joaquin Phoenix not want to make a sequel,
Nope.
but Todd Phillips didn't want to
Nope.
make a sequel. But when somebody backs a dump truck full of money up to your front door, you're pretty much going to do whatever the hell they want you to do, and that's just the truth of the matter.
Yep.
It is what it is. And so they did what they did. It's not a musical, nor is it a great tale, and it is
Nope.
not satisfactory. It's not a satisfying resolution. So, Gladiator 2, Todd C, real quick, saw the trailer.
Yeah. Not real interested. But if you want to see a good movie, go see Wild Robot because it is an instant classic.
Yeah,
And
there you go.
if you
Yeah.
guys want to go see something interesting, fun, family orientated, not for probably little children because the animals do devour each other and hunt each other down in this movie, and so there is quite a bit of death in it, and not all the characters survive to the end, but it is still a good family film. There's a great animated story, and I think it is. I think it is. I agree with people that say it's an instant classic. It's one of those that's going to stand the test of time.
Yeah, I need to see that, and I know you did, and hell, I wish you I wish you'd have told me. We probably could have cut out a little bit and let you go over that. I didn't even think about it, man, and I knew you went to go see it.
So
But
yeah,
maybe next week
maybe next
you
week.
can go down it. Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, we can do it. It's going to be around. It didn't have a stellar first weekend. I think the second weekend was better. Wild Robot is a children's book, but basically it's about a ship with a bunch of robots on it that shipwrecks, and one of the robots gets woken up, and it's in an entirely uh, animal environment, right? So it's a completely natural environment, and it's saying, well, my job is to serve, my function is to serve. How do I serve? I can't even communicate with these things. And so it spends a bunch of time learning the language of the animals, and so that's why the animals get to speak, right? Because it learns how to speak the animal languages, and then it communicates with them, and then it finds this duckling that she killed or the robot killed the family, but the duckling is still born and it hatches, and then she has to determine that, okay, now I have to determine what this thing needs and complete those tasks. And so that's the robot's goal, and the robot engages. It's really an interesting story because there's this whole corporate fascist robot centered universe over here, and then there's this wild universe here with all the animals, and all the animals are devouring each other, right? Because they're all predator species, they're all hunting something. And it's really an interesting tale of disjointed family and stuff like that. It's very traditional storytelling in the animated sense in a lot of ways. And so I'd recommend, if you like family films, if you like animated films, if you like that kind of family storytelling, go see Wild Robot.
Yeah, I've actually heard good things about it, and then you two hearing from you. So yeah, no, I definitely have. I've heard good stuff about it. So I definitely need to check it out. Um, so yeah, man, oh gosh, yeah, it sucks. It sucks. We had a great win a few years ago when Joker came out, and it is a shame that this is kind of the end result. There will not be another film. I can't imagine there being another film. And so, hey, look, spend your time catching up on Penguin, right? If you're interested in DC wise, and go that route, than to see this movie, because you'll be able to see this in like 30 days, 45 days for free if you have streaming. So,
So I wonder if Max will try to license it out to anybody like they did the Batman Cape Crusader.
oh God, see, I don't know. I
I don't think
wonder.
anybody will pick it up. If it doesn't go to HBO Max or Max whatever,
It'll go to Max, and you know that there'll
yeah.
be a commercial or two out that's like, see the movie that's got everybody talking. Joker fully in news, now streaming on Max. You know, they'll do the whole deal.
Fully a douche. Yeah. Okay.
You got that right. Oh shit, douche of a movie. I needed to be clean. I needed to be cleaned after I walked out of the theater. Thank God. Like I got shat on when I watched that movie. Anyway, so that's about it for this week, y'all. And we will be back next week. And again, working on a title. I've run through some stuff in my head. I've tried to come up with something clever. I just really don't want it to be super goofy, dumb. You know, I want it to be what we talk about. So we'll come up with something. But like I said, as long as y'all come back and hang out in the chat, that's what makes it worth it. And we'll figure it out from there, of course. And maybe try to clip a couple things out of this to put up for review.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, look, like, share, subscribe. You know the drill. Replay crew, man. Come on in and enjoy it. If you made it this far, obviously, I really appreciate it. But thanks to you guys for hanging out tonight. It's always appreciated. And we'll see y'all again next Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern. And
Tuesday.
Or next Tuesday, my bad. Next Thursday, yeah. Next Tuesday. Hello. I am Mr. Puddles. But next Tuesday at 10 p.m. And next week I'll be on the high side. Yeah, you guys come on back, man, and we'll do it again. I'll play a little music to roll you out. How about that, Matthew? And I'll see you in a minute, my friend.
All right. Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Yeah, thanks, y'all. Have a good one.